chair. Thank you so much. That is the chair, the National Youth Chair for Linda Mwananchi. Hapa leo niliwaletea watu watatu kutoka Linda Mwananchi Youth League. Tuko na the chairperson hapa. Tuko na SG ambaye ni mimi Frida's Verdict. Alafu tuko na Eric Morioki ambaye ndiye legal counsel.
Mwecheche ni moto moto kama pasi. Karibuni sana.
Thank you so much, Brother Kuntu. Kindly share this live, share the live, share the live, share the live. And I want to guide my brother Eboso. Eboso ananiuliza vile atapanda. Ninamwona hapa chini na anatusikia, so I don't know. So Eboso, hapo kwa sijui tutasema aje. You know, you can send a request, either request ama I have sent you an invite. You accept the invite and join the panel. So I don't know.
Yako on TikTok, on the third icon after the video and the audio icon, kuna icon yenye kona tumtu. Utatuma request, itafikia the host, tutaangalia kisha tutakupandisha hapo juu. I think that's gonna be helpful.
And for Dr. Stella to join us. Guys, listen. Today, just as we always do every Sunday, is a show of Kenya at large together, where we say proudly that we're coming from our roots to our future, and we keep talking. And of course, our co-host, Freda, we have our other co-host, Brother Lamek, who are here tonight with us. And of course, tonight, we are going to tackle a subject that sits at the intersection of health, economics, and governance. And of course, the daily struggles that we are having as common mwananchi. And that is why our topic was clearly brought down to when public health meets economic reality. You know, right now we are fighting a lot of things, and the major stuff that we are fighting from the public health sector is Ebola. Guys, Ebola. Ebola is happening across the other side. Ebola is happening. You know, neighbors wetu wako na Ebola. Sisi hatujai kuwa na Ebola since it started in 1970s to date.
Yes.
We've never had that, you know, pandemic, crossover to our country because of the set down rules and regulations, you know, policies on how to handle this. Then from nowhere, mtu tu amedecide tulete. You know, mtu anasema, bring it to us, tulete. And as a public health practitioner, one of the things I can tell you is when you want to practice public health, and of course, those are some of the laid down regulations or policies, you handle a scourge, a pandemic from where it has started. Because that is where the root is. I mean, those are some of the things that we are going to talk about. And now the question we're asking ourselves is, how is our Ebola preparedness in this era of finance bill? I was talking to Dr. Eboso a few minutes ago, and of course, Eboso was telling me, besides the finance bill we are discussing, one challenge that we are having as a country is we are forgetting kuna kitu inaitwa appropriation bill. Appropriation bill, where the money is going to. What are they? So much effort on the finance bill, we are forgetting where now the money meets the road, where the rubber meets the road. Those are some of the things. So the conversations have been around Ebola for quite a number of times, and the conversation around the finance bill has equally been happening. So tonight we are here to set a pace, and straight ahead we are going to begin our discussion without wasting much time, so that we can be able to discuss this further and further. Frida, to you before we bring in Lamek Atufungulia.
Thank you. Governor Mbati has spoken about the Ebola aspect. He's a doctor by profession and a very qualified one. And now I want to bring in an aspect of the conversation that is going to be handled today by Eric Muriuki and Jenzi Badi, Charity Wawero, and that is the finance bill. What are the economic realities we are looking at? Number one, it is clear CS Mbadi tabled a budget of 4.8 trillion. And this 4.8 trillion has a deficit of 1.9. And this 1.9 has to be raised from people. They then went ahead at the end of April and gave us a finance bill. This finance bill wants to raise this amount of money that is supposed to run this country from you and me, from the citizens that are selling burgers, from the people that are in hospitals, from the teachers. It is going to raise this money from the nurses. It's going to raise this money from conductors kwa barabara. It is also going to raise this money from the house helps in your house. So this money must be produced, and we are asking, when the government has a target for finances and all these fiscal targets they have, are they really looking at the economic survival of this country? If we must raise this money, the finance bill has two very aggressive aspects to it. Number one, it is the expansion. Number one is the expansion of the tax base. Sahi sasa simu on activation 25%. The moment in 2023 walikuwa wametoa a 2.5% kwa na nini na tax pia hapo. Ukisema wacha niingie kwa soko basi nitafute mtumba, hapo pia kuna bill, there's a preemptive tax on it ya 5%, and we are examining today hizi pesa zote zenye tuna raise, who really is the casualty in this whole finance bill. We are not saying it is a bad, it's generally a rotten finance bill, but we are saying there are aspects of it that do not consider equity. For example, in this country, we cannot have the common mwananchi taking the burden for for financing this country where there is excesses in public offices. There is unchecked use and misappropriation of funds in very many public offices. So we are saying, ni sawa you want us to raise this money. Ni sawa you have a budget of 4.8 trillion. But can we look at the economic realities that might limit that target? Can we also look at the people that you expect to get this money from? Because these are the people, ni wazazi wao watoto wenye mnasikia of our abilities. Is it really the time for the country to tax every little thing? Are we not tired with the taxes zenye tuko nazo? So those are the things we are examining. Eric Muriuki will be giving us the facts. Atatuambia ni gani ni ya ukweli, kama hiyo ya 25% ya simu atuambie kama ni ukweli ama ni uongo, na kitu kingine nafaa atuambie kama ni ukweli ama ni uongo. There is a pre-population allowance for the KRA. That means KRA you don't need to technically key in wakati utakuwa ukifanya hapo hivyo. Wewe kazi yako ni kukuja na kuconfirm that hii ndio tax yangu, una confirm, una file. So there is a serious problem with that kwa sababu ya privacy, data protection na hizo vitu zote. Is it okay for the KRA to do the filing for you whether or not you consent to it? Waingie kwa simu yako, waingie kwa finances zako. That is the other thing that Eric Muriuki is gonna tell us kama ni ukweli ama ni uongo, and also tell us about the legal aspects of it, and exactly what we are looking at with this finance bill. Jenzibadi, nataka nikukaribishe kandi. We are gonna start with you. You're gonna tell us today why you're so aggravated by the finance bill. What is so wrong with it? Why can't people just say hiyo ndio budget yetu, wacha tujikaze tutoe hiyo pesa?
Actually, before Jenzibadi speaks, I wanted Lamek atufungulia. Lamek atufungulia, then Jenzibadi will jump in immediately. Lamek.
Yeah, thank you so much, host. Thank you, co-host, for that information. Naona mambo yako mzuri sana, na for public disclosures nilikuwa nataka niseme kwamba mimi ni mtu wa one term, mimi ni mtu wa Matiang'i, na today we are focused on finance bill. It's not a good thing, but as we discuss this without being irrelevant, there are some things I needed to throw at you guys ili when we discuss a very important topic kama hii, at least tunakuwa na ile background kwamba as much as I can see that the majority of us ni watu wa one term, there are a few two term here as well, karibu. Kitu ya kwanza, I feel like as a country, there is no way we are gonna discuss this bill without looking at our history. Okay. There is no way we are going to discuss this without looking at our history since 1963 to where we are now in 2026. Ile kwamba, when our government came in and took over from the white people in 1963, country ilikuwa na a lot of hope. Tukaleta Kenyatta akakucha ndani. Kukakua mashamba yakaanza kunyakuliwa, and these things went the way they went, mambo yakafanywa. Instead of Kenya going forward, ikaanza kwenda venye ilienda, ikaenda tu. And then all that came through, tukafika wakati wa Moi. We had issues of corruption and all those, na tukafika mahali where Kenyans tunyanyaswa vibaya sana, tumefikia venye tumefikia, na mambo sio mazuri sana. Then came 2002, reparation ikakuja, tukaleta Kibaki, governance mzuri ikakuja, na we were expecting kwamba Kenya at least itakuwa na a new beginning, tukuwe na mambo mazuri, hivi vitu kama vya finance bill, mambo yakuwe mazuri. Then ukabila ukaingia ndani, like we have always done in the past, kwamba tribalism inachukua the front seat before anything else, hata hiyo good governance and everything. Then tukaenda from there, tukavika 2013 where Komera came in, and as you saw, tukafanya venye tulifanya, na tukaweka viongozi wetu, some of them who were not even prepared for the job. Tumefika 2017, tumepigana 2007 tukapigana, and we didn't learn anything from that. 2022 ikafika, ikakuwa kwamba wachua, if anything, we don't like good governance. Tunapenda good governance, but for the majority people, hatupendi huyu mganga, tunamchukia sana. So with that, a combination of the mountain and most of the Kenyans wakaamua wataki mchawi, wanataka an incompetent thief, lakini ni mtu wetu bado, tukamweka hapo. Now we are getting all this. Sasa kama Mkenya msarendo, why shouldn't we be getting what we are getting, even hii bad finance bill? I feel like the Kenyans deserve it. Mimi nikikuwa mmoja wao kwamba we deserve it. We have created a monster, a demon, and sasa we have become a whining nation kwamba everything we are gonna break down, tuone kwamba hii inaumisa uchumi. Ebola inakuja hapa, hii haifai kwenda hapa. Look at our counties. Watu ukiangalia the majority of counties, we are going through the same thing kwamba watu tumechagua ni wale watu walikuja na pesa wakatuonga kidogo hivi na hivi, ikakuwa venye ilienda. Na if you look from MPs, MCAs, governors and all that, we don't have a perfect nation. Sasa ikifika kwamba even when the GNC come out and we are struggling to try to fix our nation, still every time we go to the parliament, because that's where we can make real change, we don't make good choices kama wa Kenya. So ile energy tulikuwa nayo 2022 tukisema kwamba huyu mchawi atumpei, saisi tunarudisha energy ya kusema one term. Mountain inalia one term, Wakisii wanalia one term, na sisi wale wengine tunaangalia hapa tunasema ndio tuko one term, lakini sijafikiria mumefinywa vizuri na hii finance bill. I feel like it should be 3 times. It should be 3 times so that when we go to these polls kuchagua viongozi wetu tunajua kwamba our lives depend on these things. Saisi we are here trying to make it look like tunatetea Wakenya. Tunawatetea nini? Because when it comes to real making the real choices, sisi ndio tunaenda tunaweka watu kama Kasuni. Look at the CS we have for internal. Yule anafaa kuwa kweli hata MCA? Hapana, but we put them there because tuko na ukabila, tuko na incompetence ile ya kusema kwamba tunataka Kenya mpya yenye hata ma-GNC wanalilia. We don't want it. We want it. We know the way of doing it, but we don't do it. Sasa wale wenye mnaenda kudiscuss hii finance bill hapa leo, epu kama mimi munieleze kwamba as you discuss and you look at the bad things in this bill, why as a Kenyan I should not deserve to go through that hell yenye nimejichagulia mimi mwenyewe, uanze kunionea huruma kwamba naletewa Ebola na nini na nini. Na why hawa viongozi wenye tumeweka hawafai kuwa worse than Saitani, waongeze hizi na watufanye ikue mbaya zaidi. Help me understand. That is one thing nataka kuwarushia, munisaidie nielewe kwamba kwa nini as a Kenyan citizen mwenye ameamua kwamba Kasongo ndiye atakuwa rais, mwenye ameamua kwamba huyu governor ndiye atakuwa hivi, why should I not go through what huyu kiongozi mwenye nimeweka kwa ofisi amenipea? Kwa sababu ni mimi nimemwalaa, amekuwa hapo, na even before afika hapo I knew kwamba ni Saitani. Thank you guys.
Frida.
We ni mbaya. Lamek anasema we made the bed, we must lie on it. In any case, mtu kwanza amwage maji juu hiyo kitanda na tufoziwe tulale hapo. Jenzibadi, why are you so anti the finance bill? What is so wrong with Ruto's governance that we have to go on the streets and say he must go and say one term? What is your bone of contention with him or with the finance bill?
And yet she and the rest of us voted for him.
Yes, ma'am. Please address that. Karibu sana Jenzibadi.
Aki poleni, nilikuwa ninapigiwa so sijasikia kenye mmesema hapo mwisho. Tunaweza rudia.
Tulikuwa tunauliza even as we're having the discussion about the finance bill and the terrible state of governance in this country, from excesses, embezzlement of fund to extrajudicial killing, overreaching and breaking and lack of adherence to the rule of law. Why are we so angry with the finance bill? Kuna mtu ametoka kusema hapa akasema, Lamek amesema, sijui kama ulimsikia, amesema we made this bed, we must lie in it. We made the decision for Ruto. We better even get punished more so that we can learn our lesson. So I'm asking, why are you so angry with the government? What is so wrong with the finance bill? Why must go? Why one term anyway?
Thank you so much, Frida, for this platform, this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Unaweza washa kilobu?
Niwashe nini?
Kilobu. Yani kwerende. Washa light.
Niko kwa gari, niko kwa kabu ndo naenda home. Sasa nikiwasha na simu yenye nimeandika notes ndio ningewasha tochi.
Sawa, ukifika utafungua tu kidogo.
Nikifika nitawafungulia, yes. So, why are we saying one time? Why are we saying Ruto must go? Because again, we are humans. I always say, can we treat the relationship we have with our leaders the same way we treat our romantic relationships? You understand? The same way, boyfriend yangu akinikosea leo, nitampatia chance. Anikosea tena, probably nimpatia second chance. Akinikosea tatu nikuwe like, you've now proven you can never change, so let me just leave this relationship. You get me? I was just saying, Kenyans need to have the standards even when it comes to leadership. The same way we have standards in relationships, in friendships. The same way, Frida, I'll cut you off as a friend because you didn't show up for me the first time I had a problem. You didn't show up the second time. And the third time I decided, you know what? Frida is no longer my friend because, again, a friend in need is a friend indeed. That's the whole point. We have talked to this man over and over and over again. Tumetokea kwa street, tumemuongelesha, ametuua. Tukatokea tukamwambia usituue, akatuua tena. Tukatokea tukamwambia kwa nini tulikuambia usituue na ukatuua, akatuua tena. It is the same thing. I think we are in a toxic relationship with our leaders and we need to walk out of that relationship. We need to say enough is enough. We deserve better. We can get better. Because again, we've never gotten better as a country. We've seen education systems work. We have seen tax reforms work. We have seen our taxes work. Why is it not happening in this regime? You understand? We are Kenyans and Kenya is our problem. So that's why we are saying one time. That's why we are saying Ruto must go. And as Sifuna always says, Ruto going 50% of the problems we are facing as a country. Ruto going alone. And I want you to think about it this way. You know, we blame the parliament. It's okay, the parliament has failed. I'm not even saying it hasn't failed. But think about it in this angle. If we had a president who was working, a president who is not corrupt, a president who is accountable, a president who is there to serve its people, don't you think parliament would be working? Food for thought. If we had a president who didn't spark up that spark of corruption in our MPs, don't you think parliament would be working? Don't you think Senate would be working? Because again, that same parliament has members serving for their second terms, serving for their third terms, others even their fourth terms. You see? And these same members served their people for them to be elected the third time, the fourth time. So why are they not serving those people right now? What changed? The president. So what am I trying to say? He is the whole problem. Why do you have a problem with this finance bill? Let me circle back to that. Again, tumekuwa na finance bill since this government took office. We've had finance bills, we've had them collect taxes, we've had new taxes. Lot kubwa kwanza tena sana. New taxes. Tungepita hivi. Akimu ni drop kwangu, but anyway. We've had new taxes since this government took place. Taxes mpya mingi sana zimetangazwa. Vitu zenye zilikuwa tax free, zilikuwa tax exempted, now they are being taxed. But my question is, what have they done with those taxes so far? Ruto has been in government for 4 years. Leo tu tumwambie toka nje. Hiyo 4 years tumekupatia, umefanya nini tax yetu? Na kabla watu watakuja hapa waanze kuniambia Talanta Stadium. Wakumbuke Talanta Stadium tulikopa. So taxes zetu tulikopa. Kabla mkuja hapa mniambie Maunara kwa Summit tumekopa. Si taxes zetu. Mimi nataka tu must go kuja atuambie kutoka niingie. Tax zenyu nimefanyia A, B, C, D. You get me? And so my problem is not even with the finance bill. My problem is, why are we having new taxes? And yet, the ones that are in place already, we can't see what you've done with them. You understand? Kwa hii finance bill mpya, wameka 16% VAT on digital financial services. Wameongeza excise duty ya mobile phones from 10% to 25%. They are collecting more money, but still, Frida, we are short in the budget. We are still coopering. Bado tutakopa. Wameongeza new taxes, but still tunakopa almost 1 trillion Kenyan shillings. Ndio tuweze kuingia kwa budget.
1.9 trillion deficit.
Make it make sense. No, make it make sense. 1 plus 1 is no longer 2, my people. It's 11. It's not adding up. You see, they still want more money from us. The one we have given them already, they've looted it. Now they want to loot more. And the moment we say no, hamtatuibia zaidi, we are blaming the government. We hate the president. We don't hate the president, but he has just proven he can't work for Kenyans. He can't work for Kenyans. It's just a toxic relationship. One of us has to leave. And I think because we are the majority, sitting in numbers, we are the majority, the president will have to leave our house. Unajua hata mkikosana na bwana na nyumba ni ya bwana anakuambia katoka kwangu. So it is time for us to tell him, toka kwangu, toka tumrushie nguo nje aende home. Thank you very much.
Ni moto. Ruto aseme amefanyia nini tax zetu? Why are we borrowing kujenga stadium and still tuko na madeficit hapa hivi za kulipia finance bill? Sasa ninaona watu wana challenge sana, wanauliza hapa ni vitu gani ziko problematic zenye tunaweza ongelea kwa finance bill. This is the part where Eric Murioki comes in. Eric Murioki has taken his time to analyze the finance bill, and I want him to come in and give us some of the weaknesses in the finance bill, both from a legal, fiscal and institutional perspective. Legal, fiscal and institutional. What are the weaknesses in the finance bill? Structural deficit weaknesses.
Thank you very much. First thing I'm going to do, I want our viewers, our listeners to first of all understand what a finance bill is. So, the finance bill is the legal instrument through which
Eric Murioki, in short, unasema watu wachukue kalamu na karatasi, waache kutupigia kelele.
Tafadhali.
Sasa ile wakati ya kusema ati ni Wakikuyu wanapinga Ruto, sasa ni wakati sasa wa kusikiza content.
Kalamu na karatasi. Very good.
Yes, and I will try to make it as quick and as easy to understand as possible. So, kitu ya kwanza, finance bill ni nini? This is the legislative instrument. Legislative means ni sheria imetungwa na bunge that the government uses to give effect to its annual budget proposals, and especially when it comes to collection of money. Because every year, the government must, in the budget statement, tell you how much money it wants to collect, either from taxes or to borrow or to get from grants, and then how that money is going to be spent. So how, when, where to collect the money is done through the finance bill. Using the money, which program is going to be funded at how much, that one is done using the appropriations bill. The finance bill is usually the one that we focus on as Kenyans mostly, because it is what affects us very visibly or very directly kwa mfuko yetu. But the appropriations bill is just as important, because after wamecollect hii pesa, we must know mulichukua 3.5 trillion as taxes from us Kenyans. Mkaomba another 1.9 trillion. What have you used that money for? But a lot of times, we forget to ask that second question of what are you using our money for, and we just focus on, you are asking me to give you 4 out of every 10 shillings that I have, or you're asking me to give you 6 out of every 10 shillings. That is the finance bill. So the finance bill, of course, is enacted pursuant to Article 218 of the Constitution, which, of course, requires the government every year to give a statement of how much money it intends to collect and what it's going to use that money for. One misconception, finance bill si lazima ipitishwe kila mwaka, because the finance bill literally just structures how taxes will be collected, from who, from which category of Kenyans, from employed former workers, we are collecting this much. From the business class, we are collecting this much. From digital creators, we are collecting this much. So si lazima ipitishwe kila mwaka, so that if a finance bill is passed in 2022 and we are collecting enough taxes for the subsequent years, then there's no need to enact another one. That is why finance bill amkuwa mnaisikia sana times za Kibaki. In fact, I think the most popular finance bill was the 2024 one, because that was when the government attempted to tax things that have previously not been taxed. So the finance bill is usually a proposal to amend several laws, and there are 4 principal laws that are usually amended using the finance bill. The first is the Income Tax Act. Then we have the VAT Act. Then we have the Excise Duty Act and the Tax Procedures Act. It might also amend other various laws in order to enable the government to collect as much revenue as it wants to collect. Now, in the Kenyan Parliament, that is just the background of what the finance bill is. In the Kenyan Parliament, for a bill to become law, it goes through certain steps. Before we look at the steps, I need to make you understand that there are 2 types of bills in Kenya. There is money bills and non-money bills. A money bill, such as the finance bill, can only originate from the National Assembly. The Kenyan Parliament has 2 houses, the National Assembly and the Senate. The Senate is introduced to protect devolution, to make sure that they get as much resources as possible for the counties. Then the National Assembly is the normal legislative organ that makes laws affecting the entire country. So because the finance bill deals with finances for the entire nation, ni kama budget ya nyumbani. For example, if those of you who are married, maybe I'm wrong because I'm not married myself, but najua mama ndiye anajua budget ya nyumba. Anajua kila mwezi tunahitaji maziwa ya 5,000 shillings. Kila mwezi tunahitaji shopping ya 10,000. Kila mwezi tunahitaji gas ya 3,000. Kila mwezi So yeah, that discussion must be had by everybody, or rather all the concerned parties in that houses. Kama mna expect mtu achange, hata kama maybe kuna mtoto wenu grown up akona kazi na mnasema huyu amekaa hapa kwetu rent free for a long time, anahitaji kuwa anatoa kitu, mnamwambia wifi na stima wewe utakuwa unanunua. So that discussion must originate in the National Assembly, which is the House of Parliament that deals with matters of the entire nation, not just devolution only. So so it goes through several steps. The first one is the first reading, which is purely a formal step. Inakuwa introduced Parliament, the title inasomwa, and then it is published. After it's published, it goes through public participation. Now, it has gone through first reading and public participation. After this public participation, some views are considered. The views that you Kenyans give are considered. Some of them have been considered because things like the Mutumba tax have been removed. And also the proposal to increase rental income tax has also been done away with because it faced a lot of hostility. Remember, in 2024, the reason why we had one of the reasons why we had the chain of events that we had is because our government, including our members of parliament, the executive, nobody wanted to listen to the things that Kenyans were saying. Kenyans were saying, do not tax bread, hawataki kusikia. Wanasema msiguze gas, hawataki kusikia. Kenyans wamesema msiguze diapers, hawataki kusikia. Hence, people went to the streets. Now, after the publication and public participation, there is second reading. This is where debate happens in parliament. The members of parliament debate it very widely. You sent them to parliament to represent you. Wanasema hii tax mnataka kuleta ya masimu, my constituents ama my people wamekataa. Kwa hivyo hii iwezi kuwa hapo. Now they have to do a balance. Watafute, okay, hii pesa yetu tumepata kwa masimu, hiyo tumeambiwa tusiguze. Where can we get that money from? Then from there, it goes to the committee stage. This is the committee of the whole house. This is where the entire bill, clause by clause, the entire 57 clauses, zinaangaliwa, and members can propose amendments which are voted on. Each of those amendments are voted on until members agree with it. Then the third stage is after the bill has incorporated the amendments by the members during the committee of the whole house. We do the third reading. After the third reading, of course, the third reading is very, very. There isn't much change that is done at this level. Maybe the language, kidogo, grammar, flow, syntax, all those. Once here it passes, it is then passed on to the Senate, because the Senate must also consider money bills. Money bills originate from the National Assembly, but they are considered by the Senate, because the Senate has the mandate to legislate or to give oversight on anything that concerns counties. Then finally, after the second house, that is the Senate passes it, we go to presidential assent, whereby the president signs it into law. Now, this finance bill has 57 clauses, but not all of them are problematic. So I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I'll talk about a number. The first one is it expands, it gets into the digital economy space by expanding the definition of royalty. And that is by amending Section 2 of the Income Tax Act, such that there is now an item to include as royalty all payments that are made for access to or to participate in the usage or rights in a proprietary digital system. So this includes payments, cards, transaction fees, network fees.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
So wakati unasema this payment of royalties, there's
Yes.
ni royalty ama ni loyalty, whatever.
Royalties is the right to use something that another person has invented. So okay. Royalty ni kama nikiimba wimbo na unataka maybe kutumia huo wimbo kwa campaign zako, you have to pay me some money so that I allow you to use my intellectual
property. Has it been done before?
Sorry?
Has it been done before?
So this one is introducing, it's widening the scope. Yes, there are some things which have been taxed as royalties before, but in a widened scope, so that it includes even things like payment using a card as some form of, you're being licensed to use a platform that belongs to another person. So you have to pay some taxes. And of course, these taxes are charged to the owners of the platform. But we all know how business people operate. If I am getting an expense ya biashara, as a business owner, I will not shoulder that responsibility. I will pass it down to the customer. So wewe ukienda kulipia kitu na card ama nini, ile tax yenye wale wamelipishwa, you are the one that is going to shoulder it. And the implications are that the financial technology sector and operators of card schemes kama Visa, MasterCard, and their agents that are operating in Kenya were previously just categorized as service or network fees, but now they will be treated as royalties. You are licensing these people to use your platform. Kama ni Visa, kama ni MasterCard, umewa license kutumia your platform to make payments. So because of that, we are charging you a tax.
So meaning
withholding
the
tax
should have been paid by the vendor, or it should have been paid by the service provider. So instead of doing that, it is charged on me.
Yes, that is the implication. You see the way the law is right now, the tax is being charged to the owner of the platform, the merchant.
Yes.
Owner, Visa, you MasterCard. But realistically speaking, there's no way these guys are going to look at their profits going down because of some tax that has been introduced. What do? They pass it over. Because even me in my law firm, when I'm supposed to pay VAT 16%, I don't pay that VAT from my money. If this case costs 5 million for me to do it for you from beginning to the end, I will charge you my 5 million, and then I will charge you the additional 16% VAT, so that my money is intact, and then taxes ni wewe una
so unaona hata wewe unafinya mwananchi.
No, that is the nature of business. It is the nature of business. There is no business person. So your quarrel should be with your government, because the moment your government introduces taxes on these things like payments, kama hizi za visa, and these are things that Kenyans, at least very many Kenyans, use every time. Na hii ina include pia payments za vitu kama M-Pesa. If you use Lipa na M-Pesa, if you use Paybill, if you use Send Money, anything that is a payment, a transaction, something like that, tax inaongezewa. So what they are trying to do is just to widen that tax base. Because kuna very, very many provisions that I need to go through. I think they're like 13. Allow me to move and then we'll come back to questions.
Yeah.
Then the second is there was that proposal to increase rental income tax from I think it was to be increased up to, I think, 30% from 15%, but that one has been scrapped. Right now, the only one that has been retained is non-resident rental income tax. This means that foreigners who own a rental property in Kenya wanaletewa an additional tax ya 30%. And what this might do is it will discourage those foreign investors from investing in the real estate environment here in Kenya. Also, the foreigners who already own those properties and they are renting them, including renting them to Kenyans, will of course have to increase the taxes that they are charging these Kenyans. Because like I told you, remember, whenever new taxes are introduced to a business, that business will almost certainly ensure that they don't shoulder the taxes. It is the consumer that shoulders those taxes, because the point of any business in a capitalist in a capitalist economy is to make as much profit as possible using as less overheads and expenses as possible. Then the other amendment that I want to talk about is Clause 10, which amends Section 15 of the Income Tax Act. And what it does is it allows an employee of the in the public service to pay interest for the loan that they are afforded in the affordable housing scheme. So the central bank has been empowered to give loans for affordable housing, that is like a mortgage, and to charge interest on that loan. And of course, here, what the government wants is to increase the amount of money that they are collecting. And this might actually be good for people who are employees in the public service and they want to own houses in the affordable housing scheme. The only problem is the questionable architecture of that affordable housing thing, because the aim of the government is, of course, to collect as much money as possible. But if you are collecting that money and not utilizing it well or using it for corrupt purposes, haitusaidii sana. Then here, very important one, they have introduced a withholding tax for scrap metal business. So kama unafanya biashara ya scrap metal, there is a new tax that has been introduced, withholding tax, 1.5% of the gross, that you make from your scrap metal, buying or selling or trading in scrap metal. Then, of course, they have also introduced a 20% withholding tax on winnings, the gambling. Of course, already there is a 7.5% excise duty that was introduced in wachana hii finance bill ya 2024 yenye ilianguka. There is another one that was passed later. So 7.5%. On top of that, they have brought 20%. And there is two sides to this. Of course, the government wants to try and minimize betting activities because there is this questions of morality. If young people are just placing bets, waiting to win, when will they work? Watafanya kazi sangapi? But then, of course, there is the other side of the coin. People are not doing this because they actually want to. It's because they are very desperate. There is no work. The environment for doing business is not there. So if I have 100 shillings and there's even the slightest hope that I can use this 100 shillings and bet and get 5,000, I will do that. But now the government is discouraging even that because on top of the 7.5% betting excise duty that was there, you have an extra 20% withholding tax to deal with. Another significant amendment is when it comes to timelines for filing of returns. Right now, you have up to June 30th to file your returns. If the finance bill, the way it is right now, is passed, that time will reduce. You can only file up to 30th of April. So your period, your time to file returns reduces by 2 months. That is if you are not filing nil returns. But if you are filing nil returns, you are supposed to file by 31st of January if this bill goes through. Right now, mtu wa nil returns na mtu wa actual returns, you all have 6 months. Once the year ends on December 31st, then you have from January 1st to June 30th to file your returns. If finance bill ikipita kama wewe ni mtu wa nil returns, your deadline is very thin. It's now only 1 month from January 1st to January 31st. And
what
then
is the implication for that, Wakili?
Yes, the implication is that taxpayers who previously had a lot of time to deal with tax returns and all those things now are more pressed for time. And remember, even KRA systems, a lot of times they usually go down because of the numbers of people that are filing returns. And that is when there is a whole 6 months period to do that. Sahi wamesema ni 1 month, of which your 1 month, the month of January, half of it watu wanakuanga nyumbani, either Christmas break bado haijaisha, inaisha huko 5th ama 10th ama whatever. Kuna shughuli za kurudisha watoto shule, kuna pia kurecover from Christmas expenses, and you're still expected before January 31st ishe etukuwa umefile KRA returns, especially if you're filing nil returns. If you are not filing nil returns, your time has been reduced from June ikaletwa mpaka April. So you are pressed for time. So the government wants you to give them information about your finances haraka sana, sahi. But when it is you requesting for information from the government, a lot of times you become a nuisance to them, and they stonewall. They don't allow you to do that.
Are they not teaching us to be disciplined?
They are teaching you to be disciplined. And again, that is why I have kept saying that some of these things, the problem isn't even the proposal per se. It's not even the law that is being changed. The problem is the lack of trust between the citizens and this government. Because this government, since it came into power, most of the things it has done have been very insensitive to the plight of the common mwananchi. They just look at how to make things more efficient for them. If it were efficiency when the health system is working perfectly, there is medicine in the hospitals, there is doctors are well paid, hospitals are well equipped with gloves, with masks, with syringes, with those things. The education system is perfectly working. If it were like that, it would make sense. But what doesn't make sense, Daktari, is for the government to insist so much that the citizen must be efficient. You must give me this information in a very timely manner. Yet when the government is given that money, it starts becoming stories of, we did this, we didn't do that, we don't know where the money went. Somebody was caught with 250 million in cash in his house. Another one was caught with, 500 million in cash in his house. The fuel prices have to go up. The fuel levy has to be increased. This tax has to be increased. That is a problem, Daktari. Some of
watu watakuwa na shida ya kulipa hii tax or anything. I don't know whether it's what I'm reading from you. Wakenya shida wako nayo ni tutakulipa hii tax, lakini tutakuona juu ya magari, tutakuona kwa michango with our money. With our money.
Exactly.
So now instead of us paying this money for you to do that, wachana na kuomba hiyo pesa from us. In short.
Precisely. And even these easy timelines pia. You want Kenyans to be so pressed for time. Watu wamekimbia kufile pale returns ndio upate statistics ndio ujue ni kila nani you have to go after for this tax or that tax. But then again, we are not seeing the impact kwa ground. Sisi tunaumia tu. So those are you've hit the nail on the head. If it was a government that is using our taxes effectively, I don't think any Kenyans would have problems with paying the taxes. Then there's another tax that is being introduced called the virtual asset service providers. So if you have any virtual assets, this includes vitu kama Bitcoin, cryptocurrency and all those things, the government is going to introduce a new tax under the Income Tax Act. And anytime you hear Income Tax Act, ujue tunaongelea 30% tax unless it is reduced deliberately in the act for one reason or another. But
already wakili, they said reduce here. They reduced for people earning below 30,000.
That is pay as you earn. Income tax is for very different things. So basically, this is how to think about it. Anytime you are paid a salary or you make a profit in your business, things like that. That is where income tax comes in. Whenever you provide a service or a good that you've done through sale, hapo kuna VAT ambayo ni 16%, but income tax is 30%. So I know there is that proposal for people earning, I think, below 30,000 to have their pay as you earn reduced, and there is a debate that is ongoing so that that tax relief reflects across all the categories of earning. So hii yenye tunaongelea sahi ni the virtual asset service providers tax, which is introduced by clause 38, and this clause 38 introduces section 6C and 6D of the Income Tax Act. And
sasa wakili, hiyo kitu wameongeza hiyo umeitaje?
Virtual asset service providers.
Yes. So hiyo ita affect aje mama mboga, ita affect aje mora, ita affect aje huko kwa village.
So, yeah. Thank you. So remember, in Kenya, mama mboga does not only mean that mama who's selling mboga in the market. Hata ule kijana mwenye ana make tu pesa twake from online work, pia huyo ako kwa the same category, because when you look at majority of young people in Kenya, they make their money from online activities. Number one, because the work environment, business environment is not that good. And number two, because at least Wakenya wako na a lot of internet literacy. When you compare to other African countries, utapata that Kenya, our internet has penetrated in so many places. Asa ushago, ukienda utapata vijana wako na smartphone, wanafanya 1, 2, 3 things. So while this tax ya virtual assets may not directly affect yule mama mboga mwenye yako kwa soko ya mboga kabisa hapo, but the young people in the digital and creative economy, especially those who want to store the money they make in forms of cryptocurrency are going to be affected. Kuna kijana mwenye akipata 10,000 shillings ananunua cryptocurrency pale kwa hizo platforms za trading, so that it's a way of trying to even increase whatever money they are making. And it is because the government has seen just how much is being traded in the digital economy that they want to get their hands there. Ukiwaona serikali ina amend kitu kwa finance bill, there must be a reason. It's government always follows the data. Wanaangalia hapa pesa inatradiwa ni ngapi, how much can we make, so that's how they do it. So while it might not affect the mama mboga mwenyewe pale kwa soko, but hata ule kijana mwenye mboga yake ni hapa online, pia yeye we must consider him or her as a mama mboga.
So wakili, as you go on,
Yes.
nataka hold hapo kidogo as you go on.
Yes.
Nataka kumleta Dr. Eboso. Dr. Eboso, madaktari mnalipwa pesa mingi sana. Dr. Eboso, I want you to unmute. Madaktari mnalipwa pesa mingi sana. Na nyinyi mbona mnalia kuhusu hii tax?
Of course madaktari ni mama mboga pia, so
Yes.
when all these taxes zinaanza kuchajiwa, pia sisi tunalipa. Na one of the things yenye sisi kama madaktari kwanza hatujafurahia sana na tuendelee kufurahia ni even beyond the Finance Act as it is, where these taxes we are paying income tax, VAT and whatnot. Hii serikali imecome up na a new technique ya ku still tax you without taxing you. Ina introduce levies left, right and center. Unasikia sasa SHA imewekwa, it's a deduction on your salary. Unapata housing levy, again it's another deduction, and it's a mandatory deduction. Unasikia kuna ingine wanataka kuleta, and so they are finding ever new techniques to tax you without it going through the proper channels za taxation. Vile wakili Eric alisema, kuna money bills na kuna non-money bills. Na kuna a particular procedure ambayo tax laws zinafaa kupitia, ambazo kuna mvutano hapa na pale until you arrive at now we are going to tax this much. Lakini sasa hawa wana come up na other levies that evade that procedure ya tax. Alafu unajua taxes wakati zinalipwa zinaingia kwa consolidated fund, ambayo pia ndio zitoke hapo lazima zikuwe kwa ile bill ya appropriations, ile tulisema ile inaamua ni hizi pesa zitafanya nini. Sasa hawa watu wana come up na new ways of taking money from you as an employee, lakini hiyo haiendi kwa consolidated fund, inaenda kwa watu wengine huku kando, sijui directors wa SHA, sijui board ya housing levy, ambao wanaweza tumia hizo pesa vile wanataka. Ndio saa hizi unasikia wanasema they want to securitize hata housing levy. Hizo si pesa za serikali. In fact ningetaka wakili kwanza atuambie kama hiyo inawezekana, ati you're securitizing pesa ambayo si yako as serikali, because housing levy si pesa ya serikali, ni pesa ya the contributors. SHA ni pesa ya contributors. How are they securitizing it and taking a loan on it? Unaona? So that's the other thing. Na the more wanachukua hizi, kama ukiangalia SHA, in fact in as much as watu wanasema mama mboga ni wale hawapati pesa mingi, unapata hizi deductions kama SHA, kama housing levy, hizo ndio sasa zinawekwa, inakuwa the higher you earn the more you're paying in these kinds of deductions. So hiyo ni kilio ambayo by the way tuko nayo sana, and for sure that has to stop. It has to be relooked at because it is unlawful to start with, lakini hao watu wanatumia the fact that wako na nguvu ya sheria kwa sasa, but utaona tu as things go by, unapata every other time itakuwa nullified, inapatikana, although inapatikana after 4-5 years that it was unlawful, but it will eventually be found unlawful.
Thank you so much,
But now,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, nilitaka kuongea kuhusu now how does this whole the healthcare of citizens mahali inaingilia kwa hii mambo sasa, si kwa the Finance Act yenyewe, hiyo inaingilia pale kwa Appropriations Act. Manake hapo ndio wakati pesa zimekuwa raised, zinaenda wapi? Hizi pesa zinaenda kwa healthcare. Hiyo ndio shida. Na utapata kwamba as at this point since 2013 healthcare, a large part of healthcare was devolved. In fact, kile ilibaki nationally, by the way, ni national referral hospitals na health policy. In fact,
na health
those
policy.
are the two main health functions ambazo zimebaki kwa national. Everything else that you think about health constitutionally is devolved and is done under the devolved system. Lakini ukiangalia pale pesa zinaenda wakati this appropriation is happening, mahali pesa zinaenda bado zinaenda kule kwa National Ministry of Health. Unaona? Unapata devolved units zile counties, their biggest function, by the way, inakuanga mbili. Health na agriculture. Hizo ndio their biggest function. Na health ndio inakuanga their most expensive one. Lakini ukiangalia zile pesa ambazo wanapata to do with health is combined ya all the counties is much less than, in fact hata ni more than half, less than half ya zile ambazo zinaenda kwa the national government. Kwa sababu na nitawafanyia tu hesabu ya quickly. About 20% of the budget ya county ndio inaendanga towards health. 20%. 20% ya 400 billion, that is about 70 billion or 60 billion thereabouts. Sindio? Hiyo 60 billion, na ukiangalia kama kwa hii appropriations bill ya this year, ile estimates ambazo zimepeanwa zinaenda kwa Ministry of Health ni 132 billion. So unaona, Ministry of Health ambayo the only function it is dealing with ni National Referral Hospital ambazo zinaweza hesabika ni karibu 5 ama 6. Na health policy inapata 132 billion. Counties zote combined ambazo zina deal na all other aspects of health inapata about 60 to 70 billion towards health. Unaona? Na hiyo inaleta shida kwa sababu hivyo ndio tuona kila ujao kuna strike ya madaktari, kuna strike ya health workers, ya nurses, ya nini, because hawajalipwa mshahara. Unapata kwamba kuna shortages, counties cannot hire doctors or health workers because the amount of money they are given towards health is very little. Alafu wako na sheria ambayo ina stop, hawawezi pita a certain amount kwa sababu wage bill haiwezi pita a certain amount of the total budget ya county. So that needs to be looked at. Na hiyo ni kitu ambayo kwa sababu wa Kenya hawaongeleangi appropriations bill sana, hii mambo haijitokelezangi. Lakini inafaa tuanze kuangalia hizi pesa ambazo wanashinda wakichukua. Because the truth is that provided we are alive and we are working under a government, taxes will always be there. Lakini swali ni hizi taxes zinaenda wapi? Wapi ndio zinapelekwa? Ukiangalia pale kwa Ministry of Health, mahali hizi pesa zimepelekwa, unapata zimewekwa kwa kitu inaitwa sijui digital services. Digital services ni nini? Digital services ni adani. Unaona? So wanaziweka hapo, wanasema dosa hizi digital services zimewekwa kwa ile kipengee ilikuwa inaitwa health products and technologies. Health products and technologies kwa kawaida ilikuwa madawa, ilikuwa mashini za health na nini na nini. Lakini sasa health products and technologies sasa imekuwa ni ile IT system, ile inatumika sijui kwa SHA, inatumika wapi. Hizo ndio sasa pesa zote zinaenda hapo. Na hizo tunajua ni pesa za nani? Unaona? So we need to start asking ourselves, hizi pesa ambazo tunasema tuna raise kwa hii Finance Act, alafu tuna appropriate, kwa nini zinaenda hapa na haziendi hapa? Kwa nini haziendi kwa devolution ambapo kuna health, zinaenda huku kwingine ambapo tulishatoa zile functions huko? So that taxes should follow functions, or rather money is supposed to follow the functions. Lakini that's something that is missing in health. Then now you come now to the other issue that I was to talk about, which is now the Ebola issue, because it's a very serious matter, and a lot of it has been politicized. In fact, by both sides, each side is accusing the other of politicizing. But the real issue ya Ebola is not whether we should have a quarantine center or not. The question ile sisi kama healthcare professionals tunashinda tukiuliza ni, why are you bringing Ebola patients to a country that does not have Ebola in the first place? Kwa nini unataka kuleta wazungu wale ambao wamepata Ebola wakiwa Congo, unawaleta Kenya? Because Ebola, unlike COVID ulikuwa unapata wakati unakaa karibu na mtu ambaye ako na COVID, alafu anakohoa, iko kwa hiyo hewa. Ebola is transmitted through contact, direct contact. Na hiyo direct contact si lazima ikuwe direct contact na huyo mtu, hata na mnyama ambaye amekuwa infected. Na in fact the reason why in Congo hata wakitibu Ebola bado inajirudianga kila wakati is because the Ebola virus usually gets reservoid, inabaki ndani ya wanyama. Unapata kuna labda mnyama fulani alikuwa into contact with the contaminated items, hiyo virus ikamuingia lakini haimuaffect, kama rodents, rats, rabbits and what not. Alafu unapata hiyo virus itakaa kwa huyo mnyama tu na itakuwa infected tu kwa hao wanyama, lakini hawana symptoms, haiwadhuru. Alafu siku moja wewe mwanadamu atajipata amekuwa into contact na huyo mnyama, sasa ina affect huyo mwanadamu. So the moment we bring this Ebola virus to the country, we may treat those Americans na waende. But if a rat somewhere in Laikipia gets into contact with contaminated material, that rat iende ikuliwe na sijui mbwa fulani ama ikuliwe na another animal in the wild, kidogo kidogo that animal in the wild gets into contact with a human being, we will start having recurrent epidemics of this Ebola. Sasa tutaanza kuwa kama Congo na Uganda, where every few years unapata kuna mtu amekuwa infected, inakuwa a lockdown and what not. So it is reckless that the government is agreeing to bring sick people into the country when we have not even registered one case of Ebola among our own citizens who are coming from Congo or Uganda. That is what the recklessness is in that. It is not that at hatutaki quarantine center. Of course, we would want a quarantine center at the border counties especially. Lakini sasa sisi hata Busia kwenyewe madaktari na health workers wote wako on strike. Wamepeana strike notice. So we don't even have people to take care of people in Busia. And then we are saying we want to bring Americans to Kenya. What the government ought to have done with regard to this Ebola thing was we should have started preparing by first of all train our own healthcare professionals on how to manage Ebola, how to identify, isolate, and deal with it at this level. Number two, we should have started investing in the county governments, involving them to set up quarantine centers within the counties, so that it does not matter whether ni mzungu, Uganda, Mkongo, Nigeria ameingia Kenya na amepatikana na Ebola, atawekwa kwa hizo quarantine centers. Hapa sisi tunataka kuleta wazungu watuletee Ebola, na sisi wenyewe hatujafanya mikakati yoyote ile kufanya kwamba tukue tumejiandaa in case even if an Ebola case is recorded in Kenya. That is where the problem is, that our government does not, and the Ministry of Health does not seem to have its priorities right. Pale tu wameonyeshwa 1.7 billion hivi, wameambiwa fanyeni hivi, wanafanya. Na Uganda walikataa hiyo deal, Tanzania wamekataa, other countries zimekataa, lakini sisi we are very very quickly running to do that. And that is because we also have other problems. We've become desperate. Tumekuwa tukikopa, hatuweki hizo pesa mahali zinafaa. Pesa zinaibiwa, zinavujwa sana na zinafujwa na serikali. Alafu tuna end up, we need to pay debts. Kama saa hizi pesa zote Finance Act inataka kuraise, I think a big part of it is going to go into servicing loans. Why? Because we took loans before, hatukuzipeleka mahali inafaa, zililiwa na bado zinaendelea kuliwa. Kama this last 3 years bado hizi pesa ambazo tunanizi zinaendelea kuliwa. Unaona mtu anaenda na chopa daily kufanya siasa, na sasa hiyo anafaa kuwa kwa ofisi akifanya kazi, zinaliwa hivyo. Sasa ina end up we are always paying loans, so that tukipata an opportunity kama hii yenye Trump anatupea 1.7 billion, tunairukia regardless of any other risks that we are taking. Na hiyo ndo shida ambayo pia Wakenya wanafaa waangalie. Na hiyo itaangaliwa ile wakati tutaanza kuangalia hizi pesa zinaekwa wapi, appropriations hizi pesa zinaekwa wapi. That is the other thing we need to start looking at. Hiyo bill inapitanga tu parliament na hakuna mtu anasema kitu yote. Kama 2024 during the protests za Gen Z za maandamano, wakati finance bill ilizimwa, appropriations bill ilienda ikasainiwa 2 weeks afterwards. Na hiyo appropriations bill haikubadilishwa kitu. Yet the appropriations bill was based on the finance bill. Unaona? So that even though ilibidi waende bado wa introduce supplementary budget baadaye wafanye hivi na hivi they tricked us and still brought in those things that we didn't want. So we need to look at this appropriations bill, wapi ndo wameweka hizi pesa, na je tunataka hivyo ama tutaki hivyo? Because even ndo wanaweka pesa kwa hiyo, kama in health wameweka pesa kwa technologies, alafu hizo pesa zitaenda hazitatusaidia at all.
Ideally, Daktari, the technologies we are talking about, the drugs that our people are supposed to get, the section of the government which is bearing the greatest blunt is the county government.
Yes, it's counties that actually have to buy the primary care drugs, dawa za malaria, dawa za meningitis, dawa za pneumonia. Ni counties, because hautaenda Kenyatta kutibiwa pneumonia, hautaenda Kenyatta kutibiwa malaria. Kenyatta utaenda after you've been referred. So the bulk of the drugs that are needed, the bulk of the health products that are needed, the bulk of the surgeries that are needed zinafanyika Kisii level 5, Nyamira Kisii level 6, level 5 na the other level 3 hospitals, Nyamira, Vihiga, Kakamega. Hapo ndio hizi zinafanyika, sio kule Nairobi, Kenyatta, KU and what not. Unaona? But so now here is where unapata Vihiga is unable to hire a physician. It's unable to hire a surgeon because its budget is constrained. Its health budget is constrained. Ikiamua ita hire madaktari, basi itamaanisha it won't do anything in agriculture. It won't do anything in this other. So we have devolved health, but still majority of the money is still nationally.
Good. No. Thank you, Daktari. I'll come back to you. I want to bring Jenzibadi. Jenzibadi, you umesikia hiyo conversation. Umesikia Dr. Eboso raising the issue of Ebola, but of course he has brought the larger aspect of health and how it is. Hii budget tunapiga, because what we are trying to look at is at what point, what that intersection, the budget, healthcare, and of course budget generally, money collection. But he has raised something which is very, very pertinent. An issue that is included in our Tukona loan. Right now, Jenzibadi, our loan is standing at 13 trillion. From 9 trillion, pali walituachia, Uruto pali walituachia. Imefika 13 trillion. Hii pesa tunaenda ku collect, the aggressive way we are going to collect this money. Is it going to pay the bills before tuleta wakili amalize ile pata alikuwa nayo? Is it going to pay the bill? Yeah, I mean the upcoming, servicing of our loans. Ama it is going to do the service for our people.
Thank you so much. Mutaniwia radhi kidogo. Aki nimewambia niko I'm on transit. So kuna ndio maana ina disconnect kiconnect, kuna vitu zinanipita pita. But anyway, matters budget. One thing I have realized with our country, especially this regime, is misplaced priorities. Because you can't tell me again that State House is spending 17 effing billion. But capitation tunapatia watoto 190 bob. Now watoto wakistrike, watoto wakichoma shule, we blame the parents. Watoto wenyewe wanakuja na tuambia our school didn't have water at that time. We are not atushibi, hakuna chakula shule, hakuna nini, but we will still blame the parents. We will blame those children for being indisciplined. We will shift the blame even to the teachers and tell them, nyinyi ndio mumefail, nyinyi ndio hamwezi contain wanafunzi. You understand? But again, Kindiki is using 8 million every day just to fly to the Rakanithi and say Ruto ni fire, see fire. And children don't have water in schools. Misplaced priorities. One thing I'll tell Kenyans, our country is not poor. We are not poor. If we've lost 11 billion, 50 billion, 1.3 trillion, and the economy has never collapsed, and this president is moving from South Africa to France, we are not poor. We definitely have money. But where is our money going? That's the question. How is our money being spent? You understand? Again, turudi kwa hiyo development ya health. The other day, I was on a show with Alionya. and it was about the state of health in the country, you know, and we were discussing about how SHA has failed, how no hospital is working, and she was very quick to question me and say, you know, Zanzibari, health is a devolved function, and Kenyans should know who to blame when they find a certain hospital doesn't have drugs, blah, blah, blah. Again, we are shifting the blame to Kenyans. It's okay. Kenyans should know that. But remember, in the manifesto of the president, he said bluntly, clearly, that level 1 to level 3 hospitals will be free of charge. These level 1 to level 3 hospitals are under the county government, but they were in the manifesto of the national government. So whose mandate is it to make sure that level 1 to level 3 hospitals are indeed free? Whose mandate is it the national government or the county government? You understand the disparity and where the disconnect comes in. Joe President promised wa Kenya kwamba level 1 to level 3 will be free. And when you say free, you mean free drugs, free x-rays, free injections, free consultation. You mean free all, everything will be free. But again, I'll walk to a level 3 hospital today. There is no medication, there is no x-ray machine, there is no do what. But still, someone will tell me you have to follow the referral program. You have to start at level 1 so that you are referred to level 2. If it is serious, you are referred to level 3. But again, nikoshwa nikienda hiyo level 3 sitapata hata nurse. But nikoshwa nikienda level 5 nitapata hata CT scan machine. Why would I waste my time going to level 3, nipange line, nifikiwe niambiwe hata hakuna machine huku, itabidi umeenda level 4 ufanyiwe scan.
Jenzi.
Yes.
Uko wanakupea Panadol alafu kitu yenye ni lazima ni ati upime ukimwi, and that is because kuna incentives kutoka kwa financiers, international financiers. Kitu yenye ni lazima ni wakupime ukimwi juu ni free kits. Na pia wanataka kuhit targets. Alafu pia wakupe Panadol. Hivyo tu. Kwani tunataka nini kingine?
I think Dr. Boso anasikiza hiyo vile you're telling us.
Yeah, you know, it won't make sense. Even hata wewe kwako tu saa hii tu Frida umegonjeka, you are dead sure ukienda kwa hiyo level 1 hiyo dispensary uko sure hautapata flagyl na unajua ni tumbo inakuuma. What will you do? Utaenda level 3 directly, utaenda level 4 directly. Where will they start following a referral program where I know finally utaniambia niende KNH juu hata hawana nurses. You understand? But if the government really worked to equip those level 1 to level 3 hospitals and they worked to serve Kenyans, hiyo referral program ingeweza kufuatwa. Inge make sense.
Oh yes.
But you can't tell me niende nipange line level 1, nipange line. The problem is coming in wapi? Nimewambia let's circle back to the president's manifesto. Alisimama juu ya gari akaambia wa Kenya level 1 to level 3 hospitals will be free of charge. But what Kenyans don't understand, these level 1 to level 3 hospitals are under the county government. And this is why I say this government likes blame shifting. Kwa sababu wewe ndo ulituambia level 1 to level 3 itakuwa free. But nikienda nipate si free, unataka ni blame governor. Ni governor ndo aliniambia itakuwa free.
And also Zanzibari utasikia wakisema that why are you complaining? Watu mna complain wenye mko one time. Ukiangalia sahi watu wameregister SHA. Kweli ni kwamba if we look at the statistics, it's actually 21 million. And number 2, it's only 5 million out of the 21 million that are paying the premiums. Now wengi wao it's not even consistently. And some out of these 5 million ni wale wenye unaenda unapata uko na mgonjwa umeambiwa simunasikianga hizo story, unalipa unaactivate because you are desperate. But why are you and then out of this the 5 million yenye wanalipa, out of the 5 million yenye wana collect, they are collecting 57.7 billion. Mnanisikia?
Yes.
Kwa 5 million active users wa SHA, it is 57.7 billion.
Frida,
Kenya shillings.
uko network yako iko mbaya Frida. Zanzibari maliza. Frida hang in there, tafuta hiyo network kwanza.
That is being collected, but kwa sababu ya zile claims wameweka, claims zimewekwa 91.1 billion.
Janzibadi maliza, Frida ni kama network yake iko mbali.
Ni kama anapotea, hata mimi ninapigiwa, so I have to keep texting people nikiwaambia niko live wacha kunipigia. Anyway, as I was saying, muacha tu kushift the blame. You know, I always say, hata hiyo kukaa tu chini useme nimekosea, you agree umekosea, it's also a trait of good leadership. You know, as a leader, kukubali makosa is also a leadership trait. I don't know why this government just keeps running from their mistakes. I don't know. How do you blame a child? A child for saying there is no water, I can't stay in a school that doesn't have water. How do you blame a child for saying I can't stay in a school mahali penye sishibi? You understand? This government has frustrated everyone, including teachers. We even had learners saying, sisi walimu hawakujangi kutufunza. Kwa nini? Walimu wamekuwa frustrated. Walimu, nothing is working for them. Not their medical cover, not even school fees for their kids. Everything imepanda. Wanalipishwa mashif, wanalipishwa NSSF imepanda. Mwalimu ako distressed mentally. You get me. Anyway, back to Ebola. Hiyo Ebola. Mimi niko tu na swali moja.
Hapo kwa walimu.
Hapo katika. Ufix network.
Sasa hii ninakatika ama nimesimama?
Uko sawa.
Ulisikia hapo kwa education wanawake wote walimu Kewopa scandal. Waliibiwa pesa 25 shillings per female teacher inakatwa kwa sababu watu wanataka kukaa kwa ofisi and eat the money. Please proceed.
Well, yes, Janzibadi, before we end kwa Ebola, Lamek, what did you want to say about hiyo maneno ya Janzibadi amesema?
Thank you. Hiyo maneno yenye amesema Wakenya wote tunasikia and all of us are complaining, but we have to go to the basics kwamba chenye kinafanyikia Kenya tusijifanye kwamba we are victims. We are not victims. Wakati Ruto alikuwa anasunguka anatumia mabilioni kununua makanisa, kununua mabishop, mapastors, kufanya everything cool to get power. Ila hali tulikuwa tunajua kwamba huyu ni mtu mwenye amewekwa cases nyingi za mashamba. This is somebody who has been involved in murder cases ya kina Jacob Chuma and everything. We knew who he was. Akatupea manifesto yenye ilikuwa inasema nitawashikilia kutoka chini bottoms, nitashikilia hapo, nitafinya kidogo. Tukaikubali, tukaichukua. Sasa things are going exactly the same way alikuwa ameweka kwa manifesto. Why are we complaining? Kwa sababu alipokuja tulijua kwamba ni mwizi wetu. Kitu hatutaki ni waganga Kenya. Ameingia, amefinya ile tap ili achase ile gunia yenye alitoa pesa for the purposes of 2027. We know what's going on. We know how it started, how it's going and how it's gonna go. Ile iliyoko ni kwamba Wakenya lazima tuvumiliane, hatuchafinywa vizuri. Hivyo Janzibadi, as much as we are supposed to have empathy at each other kama Wakenya, tuseme kwamba hii haiendi vizuri, hii ni mbaya, tunafaa how do you fix this? We put these people in there. We kwamba hatukuwa tunamfahamu Ruto. Hata Uhuru alituambia, everybody alituambia, wenye wamefanya naye kazi wote wametuambia, we have seen exactly what we were told kwamba itaenda hivi. Mimi I feel like the best thing we should do is to cooperate. Ni kama wajua hapa Marekani, ukichukua msichana wa mtu upeleke kwa nyumba akwambie sitaki kufanya hiyo kitu ufanye, hiyo straight you are going to prison. Kenya kuna ile mentality inakuwa kwamba nikikupeleka huko Janzibadi ukubali ingie kwa kecha yangu. Yes what? Hapo hiyo imeiva. So Ruto alituweka kwa kecha, anamaliza kazi yake. Let's cooperate bwana.
So Lamek, you're being crazy this morning. I'm just listening to you. I'm wondering, Lamek, the
Daktari, huku kwetu yes, si morning, unafanya tusikie vibaya.
Oh, sorry.
Huku kwetu si morning.
Janzibadi, this evening huyu jamaa anasema wacha tu tukubali tushachukuliwa kwa Kenya. Tukubali tu jamaa fanye kazi yake. That's what he's trying to tell us.
Ni
No,
miaka
I
mitano
honestly
tu
don't
na
think.
imepaki mbili.
Lamek, let me cut you right there. Again, I'll go back to my analogy of a toxic relationship, of a toxic marriage. You understand? It reaches a point where the husband will tell you, toka kwangu, na akurushie nguo nje. Hakuna mahali utasema, uliniingisha box, ulinioa. Kwa hivyo hata nikikuwa wazimu, nikikwambia nipige niue, unafaa univumilie. No, it has to reach a point where you say, enough is enough. Leave our house. Sisi ndio wengi bwana. Sisi ndio wengi.
Ninaelewa hiyo Ochensipade.
I also want to support your point by saying that our law actually anticipates situations like this, whereby either by deception or for other reasons, we choose leaders wenye hatutaki kukaa na wao for the entire term of leadership. That is why we have the recall clause for MPs. That is why we have impeachment clauses for the executive, whereby the president can be impeached, a deputy president can be impeached. Of course, we'll impeach Rigiji for their own reasons, but if our country was actually functioning, the checks and balances are supposed to be perfect. They are supposed to be perfectly balanced, such that our MPs can see when our president or other members of the executive are being crazy. Then they impeach either the president or whichever member of the executive. If it's a minister, well and good. And if our MPs are not able to do that because of one reason or another, we, the people, can again take action by recalling those MPs in accordance with
Wakili, as you're looking at articles, because mimi si understand articles vizuri. As you're looking at the articles, Wakili, do you think it can happen in Kenya?
We have all the tools to make it happen. The only challenges are two. The first challenge is, of course, in an attempt to preserve themselves, what is called self-preservation, members of parliament have failed to pass the relevant law that is required to be passed under Article 104. This is how your constitution operates. Katiba yako is like a skeleton. It just gives the outline. This is how a human being should look like, or this is how an elephant should look like. Okay? Then kuna the other bones, kuna the organs, kuna the tissues, kuna daktari anajua mambo ya anatomy zaidi. So, the constitution says in Article 104 that the electorate, that is CC voters, tuko na power ya kurecall members of parliament. Then it gives an obligation to members of parliament. Parliament shall enact legislation to provide for the grounds on which a member may be recalled and the procedure to be followed. So initially, Parliament had put those things in the Elections Act, but they had put such complicated procedures that it was practically impossible to do that recall. So an organization called Katiba Institute went to court, and those sections whereby Parliament was making it almost impossible to recall MPs were declared unconstitutional. And the court said, enact new laws on matters recall. Parliament went and enacted the law to recall members of county assemblies, MCAs, but they have not enacted laws that give us the procedure for recalling members of the National Assembly and members of the Senate. So they are preserving themselves ile kukwamilia tu kabisa kwa kiti by whatever means, and they are preserving themselves collectively as a group, self-preservation. But in a working system, when the president promises that A, B, C, D is going to be free of charge, he's supposed to make it happen, even if it's a county function. If you promised, then what you do is give more funds to the counties.
Thank you so much.
Yes, give 35% of the budget to the county so that health can be free for the lowest of Kenyans. If you do not, Parliament is supposed to hold you to account through impeachment, and that is in the most urgent of situations. But If Parliament, for whatever reason, is unable to hold him to account, and we are also unable to enforce it by recalling our members of Parliament, then we have the ultimate chance after 5 years to then speak through our votes and say that you guys, we got into an agreement with you, a social contract with you, that you will do A, B, C, D. You have not delivered on your side. We have been paying the taxes. We have been paying your salary. We have been here. You have not delivered. Can you go home? That is what Gen Z Buddy is talking about when she talks about a relationship. If it's toxic, wacha tu. Kuna wimbo ya Kikuyu inasemanga hata kama wewe ni wetu, wacha tumalizane. I think Gen Z Buddy anaweza tuimbia, inaitwa Reketu Manu.
Ngoja kidogo. Let me respond to Mr. Muriuki. Kidogo, please. Mr. Muriuki, awalani plada, wacha nikwambie hapa. Umeongea vizuri sana na legally what you are saying is very accurate. Lakini kwa Wakenya hiyo ni kisungu mingi sana. Haitasaidia chochote. We have been there for 4 years now, tunaelekea mwaka wa mwisho wa 5. William Ruto ako morning glory na unataka kuisimamisha. There is no way unaweza vumilia miaka 4 na hivi vitu vyote vimefanyika, hata machenesi wamewawa. Sahizi ukuje kuambia kwamba impeachment. Ruto haendi mahali, tunajua hivyo. Kenya ni Afrika, tunajua kwamba something like that is extraordinary, haitafanyika. Ile ya kuambiana sasa ukweli. Tunaelewa sheria venye inafaa kufanya, hata wewe mwenyewe umeadmit kwamba if things were working, they don't work and they have never worked and they will not work. And hizi ndoto za mchana zinakubalika kwamba sometimes we can come here and debate na kuambiana what should have been done and what if we can do ABCD, but tunajua it's not gonna happen. Sasa ile iliyoko Mr. Muriuki ni kwamba ambia wa Kenya ule ukweli, yani ile ya kuambia kwamba this is the reality. The reality ni kwamba venye nimekuambia, we are almost at the end of this 5-year term. Ruto ako morning glory. Ambia hawa watu wetu wa cooperate, morning glory ikwishe vizuri, waamuke, it's another morning. Na wapewe chance tena ya kufanya uchaguzi kwamba who do you need in there. At the moment, hii finance bill wacha ipite, na wakitaka kuidabo waidabo. Yes.
Lamek,
Yeah.
yes, His Majesty nataka uongee. Then I want to welcome Teacher Shehi who has joined us.
It's okay. Thank you, Dr. Let me just add to what Lamek says. I mean, Kenyans are very hypocritical lot. They come here on Twitter and start talking English as if everyone in Kenya listens to Twitter or TikTok. I mean, you are just a very insignificant percentage of the voting population, or the general population in Kenya. The majority in Kenya are still people who languish in poverty, who suffer from, illiteracy, who are easy people to bribe. I mean, MPs are having a field day. The president is having a field day in parliament. I mean, our members of parliament and all the political, tribe in Kenya, they suffer from that kind of, primitive accumulation. They are always, ready to take whatever extra coin they get from whoever is willing to pay. And you can easily recall, it's possible to even impeach a president. It's even possible to recall an MP, but it's not probable. And I'm talking as a mathematician, it's not probable. The probability is it's next to nil. So we made this bed, let's lay on it. Kibaki himself, I remember in 2008, he took power from Raila. It's debatable. According to me, I know he didn't win, but he took power from Raila. Of all presidents, if Kibaki was able to take it away from Raila, who was at his peak, you want to tell me that Ruto won't take it away? I mean, the probability is very high. Is going to go to come back. But what we need to talk about is what can he do to improve the economy? And like you said, what he needs to go back to basics. If he's listening, I know he has his people here.
Let him go back
Yeah,
into
I have seen
healthcare.
quite a couple of them.
Yeah, let him go back to healthcare and let him go back to technical education. I mean, you are a developed countries, you're producing graduates we don't need. We need technical people out here. We need plumbers, we need masons. All these are the people we need. Let him reduce the corporate taxes and income taxes from 30% to maybe 15 or even 10, just like Mauritius, to attract investment. The growth of any economy is premised on the principle of aggregate demand, consumer spending, corporate spending, government spending, and foreign trade. But in Kenya, our GDP has largely been growing because of government spending. So when government spends, it fools you. You think the GDP is growing, but actually the people are complaining. And that's why Kenyans are crying, are saying, yeah, the GDP is growing, but you're poor. We don't have money in our pockets. So there should be a shift from government spending into consumer spending. How do you enrich that individual, that consumer, in order to be the pillar that drives the growth of our economy, just like the US? And that you can do it through industry. You create more industries, you attract foreign investment. You also ensure that healthcare is taken care of, because you want our workforce that is healthy, and you also want a workforce that is technically enabled in terms of education. Those are the simple things he needs to do. You don't need stadia. You know, Kenyans are addicted to optics. So you can go to Ngong Road, it has a 50 billion stadium, and you're happy about it. But deep inside, he should be doing industries, not stadiums. But because the majority of Kenyans are illiterate and semi-literate, we are happy about it and we'll say two-term. Thank you.
So
His Majesty, can I say two things in response?
Yes, Muriuki. Muriuki, go ahead, then Teacher Shei will come in. Yes, but Muriuki, before you say something, I want to ask you a question on, in addition to what he has said. So, are we resigning to fate? Are we resigning to fate? The fact that anatuambia hapa TikTok, hapa SpaceX, hapa Facebook, we are a very insignificant, lot. Are we resigning to fate that wacha tu tukanyagwe, tushakufa, wacha sasa watuweke kwa sanduku watuzike?
I will take you back to your constitution, and I will take you to Article 1.1, which says that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this constitution. What I have heard from His Majesty and from Lamek is a lot of resignation, hopelessness, helplessness, and all those things. And I do get it. I get where it's coming from. But I will remind you that before 2017, there is no single African country where a presidential election had been nullified by a court and a repeat election done. So, while some things may appear as if they are very strange, or they are very new, or they are very unlikely, what matters is the Constitution gives you the ability, gives us the ability. It makes it possible. So that if it is possible, it can be done. Then what remains is for us to now meet that constitution of ours halfway. How do we meet it halfway? By electing people who will uphold the rule of law. And that is why you hear our presidential candidate in Linda Mwananchi, Sifuna, saying that we don't have a stadium problem, we don't have a roads problem, we have a software problem. If the constitution can be followed the way it is supposed to be, we wouldn't be here. In countries, in jurisdictions where they are mature, the democracies are mature, it doesn't matter if they elect a madman, because institutions work. Institutions are not pocketed. Here in Kenya, our problem is that we have a parliament that does not understand its roles. We have elected fools in our parliament. They do not understand that they exercise legislative authority that is donated by Kenyans. Okay? That MP is not there because he is the best, or because he is the most perfect, or because he is the most eloquent. He is there because Kenyans said, go represent us there. And when we start getting it right, from electing MCAs to electing MPs to electing senators, everything else will be in order. In a serious country, you remember in the first term, Trump, he was impeached a couple of times. Of course, when after the Biden term, and then Trump came back again, he had a majority in Congress. But even with his majority, Republican Party having the majority, the day before yesterday, a motion passed where his own party, members of his own party, voted against him, opting to withdraw American troops from Iran because they can see that this is a behavior that is, destructive. It's too costly for the American people. It's too costly for the entire world. So while yes, there are certain realities we have to live with, I am also very much against that defeatist mentality of we can't do anything, nothing can be done. And of course, realistically, perhaps hakuna kitu tunaweza fanya for this particular government, but we have the tools. Even in 2013, the Supreme Court said, oh, there were irregularities and illegalities, but they didn't affect the election, so we are not overturning it. But in 2017, once the irregularities and illegalities were found, the election was nullified. Democracies ni kama watu, it's like a child. Mtoto anazaliwa akiwa very helpless, hawezi jilisha, hawezi kujibadilisha nguo, anafanyiwa hizo vitu zote. Finally anaanza kugrow, anaanza kuongea, anaanza kutembea, siku nyingine anaanza kukimbia, anaenda shule, anapata kazi. So democracies also mature. There are things that we as Kenyans are still learning, and we are still internalizing. We are still recovering from the previous constitution that we had, the things it provided for, whereby we had an imperial, almost imperial presidency, where the president was the law. But here, the constitution is law. All sovereign power belongs to the people. And the more we continue to understand that through civic education, the more we will actually have options that we can take when these people do not do the things that we want them to do. The other thing I wanted to say in response to His Majesty is that there's a very direct link between the economy.
Eric, as you're finishing, nataka Teacher Shei, prepare yourself. Watu hapa chini wameandika sana. Hawa watu
aingie, utanipatia tu right of reply. Pia mimi nimalizane na His Majesty na Lamek.
Sawa, in 1 minute. In 1 minute, I'm finishing. I'm saying that there is a very direct causal link between the government you have, the economic policies that they bring in, and your own economic health, Komfuko. One of the things that worked very, very well for Kibaki when he came into government is he minimized internal borrowing such that the government is not borrowing from Kenyan financial institutions. What does that do? If you borrow internally as a government, there will not be any money to lend investors, entrepreneurs, and SMEs so they can expand, so they can establish businesses, so they can employ people. Why? Because as a bank, I would rather lend to government at zero risk than lend to someone else at a higher risk. And the moment Kibaki did that, bank agents used to walk around in schools, in hospitals, in companies, workplaces, wakiwa wanabembeleza mtu, chukua tu loan. Chukua hata kama utafungua biashara ya kuku. Hata kama utanunua pikipiki. And you see what that did is, ukifungua ile biashara yako ya kuku, you are buying chicken feed. So mtu wa chicken feed, ako na float mahali. You are employing someone to look at this chicken. Unamlipa kamshahara, anapata pesa yake ya kufanya vitu wake na kusomesha watoto wake. At the end of the day, this chicken utaenda uuze kwa butchery. You make your own money. You go buy a piece of land somewhere. You start some construction. Umeshapatia pesa kwa mtu wa hardware. Umeshapatia pesa kwa fundi, engineers, so that the money ina circulate kwa economy. Our government has right now borrowed 7.8 trillion internally, which means hata ukienda kuomba loan eti unataka kufungua biashara, utapitishwa 77 steps. Oh, tuletee birth certificate ya mzazi, tuletee death certificate ya great grandparents, they will ask for anything and everything. And what that does is it discourages people. So that mimi kama nilikuwa nifungue biashara ya wines and spirits and I needed 1 million, I don't have access to that capital, so I can't open my business. So I cannot employ 2 or 3 people. I cannot pay this and this and that. So that is all I wanted to say. Thank
Eric,
you.
We'll come back to you. Janzibadi, as you're going to respond to the two, one of the things that has been raised, and I want to be very categorical, I'm not being tribal. but I'm being very categorical. Members are raising the issue kwamba the 90% of Kikuyus who voted for the current government have been the ones who have turned against the current government. And that is the question I also wanted to ask Shei, so he can chime in at some point. Today, they are the ones who have turned against the government. And it seems the country is punishing you for that decision that you took the country into. So I don't know what kind of response you'll have for that, even as you do that. And like I said, we are not promoting the tribalism. But it is something which people are trying to raise here. So I don't know what your response will be. On top of what Lamek has said, wacha tumwage maji kwa hiyo kitanda tulale sasa.
Haya, mimi nataka kwanza unipanue nikwe mkubwa hivi kama yeye.
Weka hapo sasa. Na nikupanue.
Shei hapendi kuona nikishahidi. Mimi ndio kwa bala Shei.
We, tunataka kufanyiwa nini Gen Z bado?
Apanuliwe.
Eric, shut up. Shut up. Shut up, Eric. So, I think I'll answer that question very fast, and I'll base it on whatever we've seen in the country and how we are as humans. You understand? One thing I'll tell you is that we are all allowed to change our opinions. You know, it's allowed to change an opinion. Even these politicians, leo wanaitanaga waganga, kesho wako pamoja na wanaitana mandugu. So I honestly don't understand where the disparity comes in when it's a fellow Kenyan involved. And I'm talking this. Sai iko ka group ninapigwa vita. Hiyo vita ndo nilikuwa na micromanage nikirudi huku. Wananipiga vita kwa nini? They've brought up ile story ya baba tena. And they've said, "Oh, you mocked Baba, you laughed when Baba died. We will never forget, we will never forgive you." And someone else raised this. In the same group, someone said, "But we had Ruto call Baba Mganga. And you guys right now are in the broad-based government because apparently Baba left you in the broad-based government." We had Uhuru call Baba Modomogoroki. Hiyo na Kiswahili ni kusema mtu wazimu. But later, they settled down, they handshaked, and you guys were okay with it. So where does the disparity come in when it's a citizen, an ordinary Kenyan, who has done it? You understand? You people were so okay to forgive Ruto, who even said blatantly, live on camera, nitamrudisha Bondo bila kujua. And one way or the other, coincidentally, Baba akarudi Bondo. But that's okay. But when a Kenyan does a video laughing, they've mocked Baba and you'll never forget. Anyway, the whole point is, we are human beings and we are allowed to differ in opinions and we are allowed to change our opinions. Back to the toxic marriage. These people, when they are getting married, when they were getting married, Dr. Ombati, they were so in love. They even vowed before God and before people, till death do us part. But then they enter in this marriage institution and they're like, "Oh no, it's not how we thought. It's not whatever we thought." And so because of that, we can no longer continue with this wetoka kwangu. You understand? It is the same thing. These people, before walikuwa may agree and they were like, "We will live together, we will love you forever." But later, they're like, "Apana, I didn't know you are this type of person." It is the same thing. I didn't vote for Ruto, but whoever voted for Ruto, I know they believed Ruto had a plan to save this country. Hata wewe tu ukisikia mtu akikuambia utanunua gas 300. If you are not smart enough and you decide to believe him, you'll be like, "Hey, this man has a plan to change the country." Ukisikia mtu akikwambia universal health coverage, level 1 to level 3 will be free. Wamama watakuwa wakizaa free. Utakuwa like, enyewe ako na plan. But then they enter there and they are totally different people. They're like, "Oh my God, I was fooled. And it's okay, I am ready to rectify that mistake." You know, not to blow my own horn, not to blow my community's horn, but I'll tell you this blatantly and clearly. Kikuyus are the most independent voters you will ever find. I will tell you it, and I'm telling you to the face. Because you people always say, "Oh, Gachagua." I tell you this today, and mark this, take this to the bank. If today Gachagua decides to go back to Ruto, it's when you will realize Kikuyus are independent voters, and we don't listen to no man. If we didn't listen to Uhuru, and at that point Uhuru was the supposed kingpin, we didn't listen to him. 90% of Kikuyus didn't listen to him. They voted contrary to what he was saying. What's to tell you will listen to Gachagua? Me nilijua Gachagua 2022, by the way. I've never heard of the man. I had him in 2022. as the running mate. Anyway, to summarize the whole whatever, people are allowed to differ in opinions. People are allowed to change their opinions. You see? And again, this battle, whatever we are facing right now, it is us against the political class. I am really, really pissed when I see a Kenyan saying, I will vote for Ruto to punish Kikuyus. Bro, that Kikuyu is a Kenyan like you. Sa hiyo Netflix ikipanda, mimi kama Wamboi, Netflix ikipanda kwangu, imepanda pia kwa Omondi, imepanda pia kwa Nyaboke, imepanda kwa kila mtu. Haitapanda ati kwa Wakikuyu ati juni sisi tulivotia Ruto. No, itatuvinya sisi wote. Wewe ukiingia hiyo level 1 yenyu ukose dawa, pia mimi level 1 yetu haina dawa. So I don't understand where we are picking this battle and taking it back to Kenyans. It's not about us. It's us against the political class. And the moment we come to understand that, the moment it's deep-rooted in us, I promise you will go far. And kuna video niliona mtu akisema that the opposition is not even kina Gachagua. The opposition is not kina Matiang'i. The opposition is the people. Na ndio anasema it's us against them. And why did Linda Mwananchi grow like this? Because it was a movement for the people, by the people. Sifuna hakukaa tu hivi siku moja akatokea na akasema anaendea president. Let's be very honest. Tuongee tu kweli. It's a movement that people initiated. You understand? And that's why it's so raw, it's so organic. It is so, hata propaganda zikikam, bravo, hakuna kitu zinatufanyia. Because this is a movement that the people decided. They wanted fresh blood, fresh people, young people. Anyway, nikirudi kwa His Majesty and Lamech, I'm a Christian. So allow me to switch it a bit biblical. And I'll tell you this, never accept defeat in the mind. Never accept defeat in the mind. You see, if vita, hata hatujaanza, hata vita ijatangazwa kwanza, we've not even drawn the battle line. And the people are already like, atashinda. Tulishamchagua, acha tu tuvumilie. Bro, hakuna kuvumilia. If we are able to get him out of that seat tomorrow, so be it. If you are able to get him out of it today, let's do it. You understand? I'll compare it to an analogy. Mtu amedungwa na mwiba. Hiyo mwiba inakupatia uchungu. Hiyo mwiba imekupatia hata usaa, imekupatia uvimbe. And then uko kwa position ya kutoa hiyo mwiba. But you say, hapana, wacha tu nivumilie, nitapata pesa za kwenda hospitali next month. Tena tu nitolewe hosi. And you are in a position to just pick that mwiba na kizungu inaitwaje thorn. You are in a position to take that thorn and pull it out of you and ease yourself of that pain. But you be like, hapana, I can just wait until next month. Nitoi, utakatwa mguu. So the more we are waiting, the more this man is digging too deep a hole. The more this man is, I don't know. I think Ruto is digging too deep a hole. Even the next president will have to suffer. The next one will have to suffer. The next one will have to suffer. But at the end of the day, don't accept defeat in the mind. Achana hata tufike kwa battlefield jamani. Achana
host ngoja kidogo.
Ngoja Lamech.
We have to respond to Gen Z, buddy.
Hold on. No, hold on. Thank you so much. I want to thank you so much, Gen Z buddy, for raising that. And kuna vita hapa bado, kuna vita. Hang in there. Teacher Shei, na wewe unataka kupanuliwa?
Apanuliwa atashane na mimi.
Unataka kupanuliwa pia Teacher Shei?
Hapana. Hapana. Unataka watu wa Nairobi gossip hapa?
Teacher Shei.
Watu wa Nairobi gossip wakuja hapa.
Hold on. Nasukuta mama mboga. Tulia.
Mama mboga ndio wanapiganga kura. Hata KC pigangi wasikangi ID.
Mama mboga, wacha niambie kwanza nikwambie. Ona kidogo kwa sababu hii mama mboga hii inaanza kutuzoea sisi. Mama mboga, wacha mimi nikwambie kitu ya ukweli. Na mimi sitaki kukudanganya. This time kama nyinyi ndio huwa mnadhani mnapiga kura, sisi ndo tunakuja kupiga hiyo kura. And let me tell you, sahi tukipiga Ademba, who is one of my best friends, ali collect around 2 million votes. 2 million. Na Ademba mwenyewe aliambia watu kwa TV, kura yangu ni Ruto must go. Niko kadi inamaanisha Ruto must go.
2 new million votes.
Yes,
New.
yes. 2 new million votes. Sasa bado hujaongeza mama mboga, ngoja kwanza. Mama mboga sijui Mnyazuguta sijui nani, ngoja kidogo kwa sababu there is one thing I want to introduce you to because we bado haujawele, wewe bado unapatiwa mboga, unapatiwa mkate, uende upigie member of parliament wa UDA mwenye hawezi kupatia anything. Yeye anaingizwa hapo by the virtue of siding with the president. So ngoja kwanza nikuambie. Kwanza there is where the power ilitutoka sisi. Kuna penye power ilitutoka. Na ninataka huyu mama mboga aelewe kwa sababu Eric Muriuki ame-explain lakini huyu mama mboga bado hajaielewa. This is where the power ilitoka from the people. Wacha nikuelezee. Sasa zile high court ili rule that members of parliament, hiyo section ya kuwa recall sisi kuwaita, because I know where the problem is and I've analyzed it very well and I want you to listen. Pale penye shida ilitupata sisi ni pale penye koti ilisema ati members of parliament, some section of recalling them is unconstitutional. Therefore, members of parliament should come up with a framework of recalling themselves. Hao ndo wanafaa ku lay down the framework. Unadhani walienda waka lay down the framework? They did not. They laid down the framework of recalling MCAs. Hiyo maneno tunajua. So mama mboga haezi kuja hapa anatuambia vitu zenye sisi tunajua are not really happening on the ground. We know the fabric or the software of the situation. We are at a bad turn as a country and we have to come together and beat this called political class. Now, let me tell this mama mboga, iyo power ya kurecall the MP venye ilienda, the power was taken away from you. Wewe mama mboga wewe. Power imekuwa taken away from you. The power is with parliament and parliament is now powerful than we are. Let me tell you the truth. Saizi, your member of parliament akienda hii mwanamke ya nini ya mama mboga, lakini hasikii. Yeye amekuja hapa anaongea vitu zenye sawa. Let me finish. Let me just finish. Now, hii us against the political class. Nataka muelewe penye hii maneno inatokea. Hii maneno inatokea at the Ethiopian Revolution. Kulikuwa na Haile Selassie wa kwanza na kuna Haile Selassie wa pili. Wachana na huu wa pili mwenye sisi tunajua. Kuna wa kwanza wa 1974. The people came together and saw, wait, huyu emperor, na mimi naongelea ule wa 1974. Wachana huu mwenye amekufa juzi 1980s na 1990s. Ule wa kwanza alinyanyasa watu mpaka watu wakaanza kufikiria, ngoja kwanza, sisi tunanyanyaswa ya nini hapa? This is our land. How comes there are a crop of people who are emerging? Watu ndo ati wanakuja, they are lording over us. We are not a British system where there is lords, sijui class of lords na class of sijui nini, when they are lording over us na tumekubali. No, we have a different culture. We have an independent mindset. So the people came together in the 1974 revolution of Ethiopia. Now watu, they kicked that emperor out. They did. Ndo unaona hata Ethiopia in the latest stages in the 1900s, ndo the only country that you could not fight them. They are the only African country that they remained independent. Hakuna mtu mwenye alikuja kuwa colonize. So people need to understand that even if you say two-term for the whole of the night, I can tell you for sure that the one-term agenda is real and the one-term agenda needs strategy, which I've had one of my principals in the Linda Mwananchi akisema hivi: if it will need consortium or people to come together in the united opposition to be as united as forever so that we can defeat the enemy who is President William Ruto and his government, then so be it. So that is what I wanted people to say. The power is no longer with us. We were no longer meant to go to the street. Ukiona mahali penye watu wanaenda kwa street kama France, ujue the power is not with those people. The power is with the people who are making policies. The same thing here in Kenya. The power is no longer with the people. We are trying our best to bring back the power to the people, but we need people who, like our Mama Mboga, to come and understand that ukipatiwa skuma ya 100 na inaitwaje soda na maji, soda na nini na mkate ya 60 shillings, haimaanishi ati mtu anakupenda. What it means is huyo mtu amekudharau. That is what I will tell the people. The power is no longer with us, but we can reclaim this power back.
Now,
Lastly, Eric Murioki
now,
alisema,
as you go to your last, Teacher Shei, as you go to your last, comment with the fact that then what is the Constitution to us? Because the Constitution has given us so much powers. You mean the Constitution has not allowed us to exercise those powers?
I was going there. Eric Murioki said, but the good thing about this Constitution, it had created some kind of safeguard so that if one thing fails, for example, if the parliament was meant to be our last line of defense and it has failed, then we have the power as the people to go and picket peacefully and make sure that they have listened to us and they have created another safeguard that is going to make sure that the common mwananchi survives in this country. The common mwananchi is listened to in this country. So, I mean, it's not like it is over. It is not over until us ourselves, we have come together and we have said, now it is over.
Wow. Thank you, Teacher Shei. Now, Lamek, najua umechomeka. Nataka kuleta Nyasuguta Lamek.
I really want to get in Daktari.
Mtu ananishukisha.
Daktari, I haven't spoken.
God, you have not spoken. I know that. Nataka kuleta watu wawili. Watu wa Mama Mboga na bodaboda. Bodaboda, not per se bodaboda, but one of us who is at the bunge mashinani. So I want to start with Mama Mboga. Masi Nyasuguta mwenyewe. Ni mmoja wetu.
Thank you.
Tusimuue, but Masi, they are speaking not only for you, but for other people who are around Mama Mboga, yeah. But they are not, they are not understanding this. Go ahead.
I want to talk Kiswahili because English is increasing. So I want to talk Kiswahili. English is sasa iko namna hii. Wakenya wenzangu. Kitu ya kwanza. Kerere ya chura haisui ng'ombe kukunywa maji. Number 1. Tumemobilize watu wangapi? Number 2. Tuko pande gani? Tuko sehemu gani? Sisi kama Mama Mboga tuko wapi? Unajua kwa mtandao tutapiga mdomo, tuongee kabisa, tuonyesha matusi, tuonyesha hasira zako, hasira asipigangi kura. Huko kwa debe inaanzia president mpaka MCA. Umepanga watu wangapi? Kitu yenye tuko sisi kama Mama Mboga. Sisi tuko one term original, not photocopy. One term original. Na hiyo one term ni sisi tunajua why. Na inaisafika mahali uwezi jua. Sisi Kenya tunaweza sema Wakenya wenzangu. Tupange tumobilize watu. Tuambia vijana jenzi wanapiga mdomo sana, chukua kura. Wakati wa kura sisi tunakuanga polling station. Kama mimi Nyasu na kuanga original IPC. Nimeweka paka patch ya IPC na koti ya IPC. Niko hapo. Tujue vile tunamobilize watu. Sisi tusipige mdomo hapa kufurahisha watu ama tuongee matusi haitusaidii. Tukisema tunaenda kusimamia president fulani, tujue vile tumemobilize watu. Wamama ni wangapi, bodaboda ni wangapi? Chenzi wengi hawapigi kura. Mtoto amemaliza form 4, mpe advice ya kuchukua ID. Mpe advice ya kuchukua kura. Hiyo ingine yote hata tupige mdomo mdomo minus start. Hata yule president unataka bila kura aingi. So kitu yenye tunaweza sema Wakenya wenzangu, tujipange. Mtu unajua ndiye anasikia mahali kiatu imemfinya. Ukisikia umefinywa na kiatu unajua utatoa upepe kwa mkono. Utembea miguu tupu. Kama sisi Wakisii tunapenda kutembea mguu tupu kiatu kitufinya. Sasa kama kiatu imekufinya, mwaparaishi watu, ile president wako umeamua, mwaparaishi watu waingie kiti. Lakini ingine yote tunaongea ni para mingi bila matokeo, that's not good.
Lakini Mama Mboga, as I bring Benson, nataka kukuuliza Mama Mboga, hii Gen Z revolution ya 2024 ilianzia wapi? Ilianzia hapa pahali pa para mingi?
Ilianzia hapa juu, wacha nikwambie, mimi saa ingine na kuanga kwa hisi mambo ya kupiga kura. Kama 2022 nilikuwa polling station fulani na nilikuwa agent ya mtu fulani. Chenzi wengi hapa ni kutupigia kelele. Chukua ID, chukua kura. Ndio itaweka yule mtu mnataka kwa kiti. Wacha nikuambie, sisi hata Kenya tutaweza sema kama sisi Mama Mboga, tulianguka mtihani by the way. Tulipewa mtihani ilikuwa kubwa sana lakini tulianguka, lakini hatukujua. Unajua kukosa njia ndio kujua njia. Sisi ndio tumejua tumefinyika mpaka tumefika wapi. Sisi wenyewe. Na 2027 sisi ndio tutajua, tutaamuka asubuhi mapema tarehe 8 mwezi wa 10 tujue tutapiga kura wapi. Kitu yenye naambia wamama wenzangu, kuna wamama wameolewa, waliolewa emergency, hawakuenda kuchukua ID, hawakuenda kuchukua kura. Kimbia kotini, chukua kitu inaitwa abstract, chukua kura. Tubadilishe maneno. Wenzangu wenye vijana, watoto wetu wenye mmemaliza form 4, chukua ID kama unataka kubadilisha maisha yako. Chukua ID, chukua kura. Hiyo ndio itakubadilishia MP. Tuanzie MCA, itakubadilishia MCA, ikubadilishia MP, ikubadilishia governor. Kama sasa governor Mbati anaenda kukua governor wa Nyamira County. Huyu governor kitu na mheshimu, wakati alikuwa side ya medical, alisaidia watu Nyamira. That time mama yangu alikuwa mgonjwa kansa. Nyamira ndio hospitali ya kwanza nilipeleka mama yangu. Huyu Mbati hata anijui vizuri lakini mimi namjua. Namjua. Kuna daktari alikuwa hapa, alikuwa anaitwa Wasuneka huko. Alikuwa clinical officer. Sitaki kumtaja jina hapa juu ni daktari mkubwa. So najua Kenya alifanya huko. Huyu hata tukimpigia kura, hata mimi nilibadilisha kura yangu iko Nyamira County. Mimi naongojea wakati utakuja niimbe vile nataka. Kenya ulifanya wakati wa elite tuliona. Sisi tu kufungwa macho, tu kupewa miwani, ulifanya kazi nzuri. Iwe iwaro. Litembe, likose kutembea. Governor Nyamira, Dr. Mbati Mukua. Whether you like it or not. Tunajua kazi yake. Sasa Kenya naweza waambia kwa president, hiyo ni kujipanga. Wacha kutudanganya hapa. Lazima mjipange mapema. Msipojipanga mtashangaa sana. Sisi tuko hii county ya Nairobi tunaendelea kuangalia. Mwaparaishi watu, wamama wale wenye mke expire date mliolewa mapema na miaka 2, chukua ID, mulijulikana hamuna ID. Ndio muamue president mwenye atachaguliwa. Na watu na eti tuko na hasira. Hii mambo ya siasa inaisanga. Hii vitu weka kwa ranks. Ukipumua inaisha, usiweke kwa roho. Hii vitu ni ya ranks, my friend. Thank you so much. Tuungane na tuendelee kumoprise wetu. President in my own. President ni Freddy Matiang'i. Haro.
Very good. Very good. So, nataka kumleta Benso, but Benso kabla uongee, mama mwingine wa Mboga, edit. Nataka ufungue kamera, ufungue mic. Put in your word. Umesikia Jenzi akiongea, umesikia Kalama akiuliza maswali, umesikia Eric Muriuki akiongea, umemsikia Nyasuguta akiongea, umemsikia Teacher Shei akiongea. Edit, we want to hear you. Kuna everyone. Kuna tumeletewa maneno ya Ebola, tuko na hii maneno yote inatusumbua akili. What is your take in what is happening in our country, Edith?
Yeah, thank you very much. Me by then mtu wa one term. I am sifunated na huko sitoki. My president is Sifuna. Haya, hizo story ya Ebola, story ya sijui, hizo vitu zote, it is a result of Ruto panicking. Ruto is very sure is not going to win election, but watu wa two term wako bado wanalala. Bado tu wako tu wanalala, wana hiyo mentality he will win. Na Ruto mwenyewe is sure is not winning. So everything is happening in Kenya. It's a result of confusion ya Ruto, hopelessness. Vitu tu confusion mbaya zimemsurround, hajui what next. Anything he tries to do in a backfire. Since the time he fired Sifuna, that man has never known happiness. He has never known peace. Sasa yeye amejitayarisha kwenda nyumbani, lakini bloggers anawalipa tu, so they will chant, they will vent two term because they are in a payroll ya 200 bob. Even they have been paid to come in this platform and record. So just allow them to get that 200 bob. But Ruto is going home. Sifuna atashinda mapema asubuhi. Matiang'i is part of us. Tutampatia kazi mzuri tu. He's a performer. I respect Matiang'i a lot. But he will but he will have to work under Sifuna.
No, sisi
I know they will work better. Thank you.
Tutapea Sifuna kazi. Sisi ndio tutapea Sifuna kazi.
Matiang'i ana numbers.
Sisi ndio tutawapea kazi. Na tukianza kubishana hiyo sasa Dr. Ombati
sisi watu wa Matiang'i tutapea nyinyi watu wa Sifuna kazi. Msijali.
Sisi watu wa Sifuna tutapea Matiang'i na watu wake kazi. Kwanza tunaongea yeye.
It's all right. Wacha nilete Benzo kwanza, alafu
hapo ni mwecheche guys, hapo ni mwecheche.
Hapa ni mwecheche. All right, Benzo, tuambie Matiang'i anasema aje from the side of
Daktari, asante sana. First of all, I know many things have been said, and first of all, allow me to second what Jens Buddy said. And with all due respect, host, Dr. Mbati, hatutaki country ya kukuwa na double standard. You see, right now we are fighting for this country. Jens Buddy, congrats the way you responded to these people. I am a lawyer. I voted for Ruto 2022. It is very wrong when we profile other communities. Bona ati nyinyi ndio muliweka Ruto kwa power. That is a very bad insinuation, which is not supposed to be done in this time of era. Hakuna vile mungetaka Mkikuyu aache kuvotia penye Rigathi alikuwa akuja votie Raila Amolo Odinga. Na hakuna vile ungeacha Mjaluo angeacha Raila Amolo Odinga aenda votie Ruto kule na kijana yao wako huku. Guys, that double standard, this Kenya is more than Luo. This Kenya is more than Kikuyu. And where are you living these other tribes? Another thing why I'm debunking that, Daktari, hata wakati Uhuru amekuwa kwa power, tulikuwa tunamcriticize. It is now very wrong when there is a national issue. Sisi wa Kenya wakati tunatoka tunaemuka kuuliza maswali, wanaanza kusema ni Kikuyu, wanauliza hiyo maswali. That question that you posed to Jenzi Buddy or to the to this panel, I think it was not a good question. Because it is not Kikuyu who are fighting the government. I'm a lawyer. I'm dissatisfied with Ruto. Mimi mwenye niliamuka very in the morning 2022 nikamweka pale. The constitution allows me, if any leader does not perform, nimutoe. Because when you are narrowing all this discussion to Kikuyu versus Jui Kalenjin or versus Luo, why are you leaving Mkisi? Why are you leaving Muluya? Why are you leaving these other tribes? So I'm urging you, all of you, let us, when we are coming out to say, Ruto, you've let us down here, don't try to think it is Kikuyus who are calling it out. Alafu hii issue mmekuwa mkisumbua Jenzi Buddy ati alifurahia wakati Raila alikufa. I want to now reply to those people who are saying that. Oh, Dr. Mbati, do you know that kuna Luo people, a very good section, wali celebrate kifo ya Chepukati. Chepukati is my brother, he's a Luya kama mimi. I felt so bad. Where I come from, we don't celebrate when someone dies. They did the same, and it was even in the media. Chebukati has never done anything wrong. 2017, when he wanted to do the right thing, muliona aliekewa bunduki. You saw that. Haya, 2022, he did the right thing. Akapata every leader unaware. Akasema the election, once the presidential results kikuwa read within the polling station, it's final. None of these leaders walikuwa aware of that. Sasa election ya 2023 ilikuwa clean, to be honest. Hata Raila mwenyewe kama angekuwa hai ungemuuliza. But they wanted to force it, and we know it. Wakitumia jeshi, but ikashindikana. Chebukati stood for the right thing. But my brothers from Luo Nyanza, they loved it. They loved it when he died. And by the way, Dr. Ombati, there's kamulu ya kengine kalikuja kakareply kwa wale wenye wali-celebrate. Wakawambia, mumechekelea kijana yetu. Hata nyinyi huyo Raila wenu watakufa, tutakuja ku-celebrate. Imagine, I want huyu jamaa tumtafute. Alisema hiyo na baadaye Raila akakufa. So there are things we need to be very careful with whatever that we do, and let us not be putting double standard. Sisi Waluya hatujashindilia kusema Wajaluo li-celebrate kifo ya nani? Ya Chebukati. Why is it that Jenzi Badi baka anazuia haiwezi kwenda kule kwa rally ya Linda Mwananchi in Luo Nyanza because walimtishia? So we should not have a double standard when we are handling matters, because this country is bigger than one tribe. It is bigger than Luo nation. It is bigger than Luya nation. So I don't want to be talking things tunachukua personal. You've seen Dr. Ombati right now. This Kikuyu that you are fighting, I've not seen any Kikuyu fighting my Right Honorable Edwin Sifuna. But the very, very people that Sifuna I have served for 9 years, they are the one fighting Sifuna, throwing words right center. Kwa Wakenya sisi wajinga, and we are watching. Mimi I've never amplified the way Luos celebrated kifo ya Chebukati. Mimi wakati Raila alikufa, I never celebrated, because even my community or our taboo does not allow us to do that. So it is very wrong every time tunaanza kusingle out a particular family, which is not very good.
And
now,
and actually, before you go out of that topic, I want to say, hii topic ya mtu kucheka, hii topic ya kifo and everything, I think we should come to the end with it, because the truth is, hawa viongozi, iwe Chebukati, iwe Baba has played a big role. Chebukati did his role, and everybody, I mean, in their lifetime, we celebrated them and we also vilified them in equal measure. It is time now that we move forward, that we have a country to fight for. What Baba gave us, what Baba did for us, what Baba fought for us, what Chebukati did for us, whatever they did is now a history that we should learn from, so that we do better as a people moving forward. So, I mean, right now, the only thing I wanted to ask you, Benso, and you be short on that, now, moving forward, watu wanasema tunapiga kelele TikTok, tunapiga kelele Facebook, tunapiga kelele YouTube or whatever. We are not compiling this down to votes. What role should we do? Quickly, before we go another.
Asante sana for giving that guidance there, Daktari. Yeah, I think those people, they are naysayers. My brother, we don't just come here kupiga makelele. Personally, and even wakina Jenzi Badi and even you, Daktari, we come here to sensitize and just amplify whatever that tunafanya kwa ground. So I want to tell them, kama wanasema tunapiga hapa makelele, how wanafanya nini hapa kwa online? You see, let us sometimes be logic. When you pinpoint a finger to someone, pia wewe hiyo finger ingine inakupoint. There is no way wewe unatuambia tuko hapa TikTok na wewe unafanya nini hapa? Meaning pia wewe uko hapa wasting time here. Mimi I can assure you, Daktari, tuko hapa hivi kwa TikTok just to amplify whatever that tumefanya kwa ground. Mimi hata right now imefika mahali mazam using my car. Wherever niko naanza kusema one term, sifunated, and I can see the reaction of the people. You get? So I want to tell them, watashanga. And secondly, Daktari, I wanted to respond to what Majesty was telling us. Majesty, I'm the one who put Ruto kwa power. And there are people who said Ruto cannot be the president, but we made him to be the president. The same law permits me. The power belongs to us. Daktari, the politics of 20 years ago is not the politics of now. Things have changed, bwana. I come to my country, a region where tunasema vindu bichenjanga. In translation, I mean, things changes, bwana. The way we did our politics 20 years ago is not the same as right now. We are in a digitalized era where we are exposed to information, and people should watch this trend. We are not just saying because it is Ruto, because it's a Kalenjin. No, he is my president. Even right now, he's still my president, and I cannot say mkosesha heshima, but he has failed me, and that's why I'm saying we will take him back home the way we did. So whoever that is saying the Right Honorable Edwin Sifuna cannot be the president, you are dreaming, because even Traore took the president of Burkina Faso while he was 36 years, and the young guy is doing marvelous. So ukiangalia saa hii tukifanya statistic, Sifuna amekubalika kila mahali. Lastly, I want to remind Majesty, power belongs to the people. Huwezi tuambia ati the future yenye tuko nayo saa hii itakuwa stagnant in the future 20 years back. Yes, we know Raila alikuwa anashinda na ananyang'anywa. But right now tumesema chonji, even the Right Honorable Edwin Sifuna alisema hivi Dr. Mbati, wakijaribu kuipa kura, unaona kama 2024 wali underrate the young people there. Wakadhania tuwezi ingia kule parliament. Tuliingia bro. The same thing, they are underrating the 80 million people that will never voted for Raila or Ruto. Now right now they are the one wanasema this time around wanaenda kuvote to join this country for better, not for tribal level and thinking. So going forward, Majesty, I want to tell him that the power, the Constitution has given us power. The way, the way tulikwanga tunakesa sasa is our Constitution 20 years back is not the same at now. Kitambo tulikuwa tunaokopa. Hata polisi akikoa tulikuwa unakimbia mbio. But right now I can tell police, hey, listen, this is my space. Give me my time, bwana. I want to express myself. Though this time around we are saying, the way watu walikuwa na andamani Ruto hawezi kuwa president, is the same thing they are undermining they are undermine our power right now, because we have taken back power to us, and that's why even Ruto akisikia the leader of Gen Z or the new revolution or the revolution that is in existence, the Right Honorable Edwin Sifuna, Ruto halali by the way, and because of that Sifuna. So I want to tell them Sifuna is going to go there, and thank you to Gen Z Badi and Ebi Zwena. You being even Kikuyu standing with Sifuna, and me being a Luya, even I'm being challenged. You are showing that you know you want this Kenya to change. We are not looking for tribalism. Give it, Gen Z Badi, no one should dismiss you. Stand strong. Nani Zwena, I really salute you guys. Keep it up, and Kenyans are so impressed by you. Asanteni.
Lamek, let's remind these guys that every Sunday this is what we do.
So, host.
Every Sunday, it's about this show. We come here, we talk, we open our hearts where we talk a lot of things in our community. So, Lamek Change, I want to bring it to you. Again, go to the round of Kuntu, Kolo, Nileta, Hawa Wili, Eric, and Jenzibadi to give us their final thoughts, even as we are coming to, I mean, Leoni Kumoto.
Yeah. Thank you, host. I need to respond to Jenzibadi na Benso. Na I'm going to be very, very clear. Hii kitu mnakuja hapa tukiwaambia ukweli, you start catching feelings, muache. It's not tribal, ni kuambiana ukweli. Ruto alikuja kwa mamlaka through Wakikuyu wetu, ni watu wetu, we are all Kenyans. Na tukisema hivyo hatusemi hivyo kwa sababu we are tribalist. Tunasema ukweli na mshike hivyo. Na tukisema kwamba watu wa Kenya kwanza mlitupea Ruto, kwa nini mnasikia vibaya? Si mlifanya hivyo jamani. Hivyo mkianza kukua na shida kama saizi mko na shida kwamba you don't like him because amerusha shawa nje, sasa if is your enemy, he has to be our enemy. Ile iliyoko ni kwamba nyinyi mlipofanya huo uamuzi wakati tulikuwa na Raila, sisi tulikubaliana hiyo verdict. Ikakuwa kwamba we have to wait for 5 years. We are focused on 2027. Hii kitu ya kutuambia kwamba we need to join hands na nyinyi in business, when you make a decision, alafu roses zinaanza kukucha, alafu now you want us to share your roses kwa sababu sasa wachua it was the wrong decision na saisi because mulikuwa hapa sasa, wacha tuwachoini tuende hivyo. Wacha hiyo mchezo, tutaambiana ukweli. Kama sio ukabila, Kenya ingekuwa mbali sana. Kwani ni kesho kukuambiana hivyo? Ile ndugu yangu Benson anaweza kuja hapa aseme Chensi badi aseme venye hey, hatufai kuleta ukabila. Ukabila ndio imenyanyasa Kenya. Isingekuwa ni ukabila, Raila na hiyo kutotairio yake, angekuwa rais leo. Amenyanganywa mara ngapi? Ametukanwa mara ngapi? Amefungwa mara ngapi? Hivyo hiyo michezo ya kutuambia kwamba we cannot come here tuambie ukweli kwa sababu tutaonekana kama watu wenye tribalist. Sisi hatuna shida, sisi tuone kama tribalist, tutawaambia hiyo ukweli kwamba the Kikuyu community gave us Ruto na iko hivyo na itakuwa hivyo na haita change, historia itaandika hivyo. Na what is there kwamba hii dawa natupea kali in form of finance bill na vitu vingine. Tuvumiliane bwana, tukule pole pole hiyo pilipili sio nzuri, ni kali sana, tukule
So
pole
Lamek,
pole.
so
Yes.
Lamek, are you telling us that we should accept if finance bill the way it is? Umesikia vile Eric Muriuki ametuambia about the finance bill. So are you telling us hii maneno yote Eric Muriuki anafaa kutuambia tunafaa kuitupa kwa dirisha, tutii, tupige saluti, tuseme wacha tufuate vile iko?
That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying ni kwamba we have elected leaders wenye walikuwa na ideologies zenye tulikuwa tunachua ni mbaya. We knew that. Wamekuja na wanaleta hivi vitu, yes we are gonna resist. Lakini wale wenye walimuweka ofisini ndio it's like we mchawi umeua ndugu yangu na unakuja kwangu wewe ndio unapiga nduru zaidi kuniliko mimi mwenye nimekufa.
So
Acha hiyo mchezo.
Kensibadi said something, and I want to retreat what she said. She said, you know, in life, Lamek, it's only the dead who don't change.
Yes.
Things change. People change. That is why today I am 10 years old. Tomorrow I am 30 years old. Today I don't have beard. Tomorrow I have beard, right? So
haimaanishi hosti kwamba
Yes.
haimaanishi kwamba hatuwezi kukumbusha kwamba we are in that predicament because you put us there. Tuanze kuignore hiyo fact kwa sababu umechange mind.
So what will that
ile
do
iliyoko
to-
ni kwamba
Yes.
Can I just respond really quickly?
yeah.
Really
Ngoja
quickly.
kidogo. All of
Lamek,
us,
Lamek.
ngoja kidogo Chensibadi. All of us
Unajua you keep repeating the
lazima
same point and I want to
ngoja
clear it
kidogo
out.
kwa sababu
Anashinda akisema ati hatutaki kukumbushwa. Hakuna mtu amekufunga mdomo ukitukumbusha. Hakuna mtu amesema hataki kukumbushwa. These people hata wenye walimvotia wanasemaga mimi nilimvotia but sitamvotia tena. It's not like they ran away from that fact. I personally didn't vote him in. I want you to get that and get it in your head. I did not vote for Ruto. I voted for Raila Amolo Odinga. It will go down on history that my first vote I gave to Raila. So I didn't vote for Ruto. Get it out of your way. But I'm talking for the 90% Kikuyus who voted for him, who I have personally interacted with. They don't run away from that fact. They are very honest with it. They say, I voted for him, but I am not voting for him again. What does this... where are we getting the disconnect with you? Wewe, unataka kusema, tunakasirika ukitukumbusha, tunafaa tukwesa ukitukumbusha na ukituambia amekuwa mbaya, sisi wote tuvumilie ubaya. I didn't vote for him, and whoever voted for him, hata yeye mwenye alimvotia anasema
ameumia,
ana regret na amekubali kwenda alimvotia. So can we move from that now? Can we make another point?
Hapana, we are not going to move from that. Ile iliyoko ni kwamba we have to start planning for 2027. Ile mambo ya kudanganya, kwani tumedanganyana miaka ngapi? Since 1963 tunadanganyana. 2027 ndio itabadilika. Mtu ache
Lamek.
Yes,
Lamek, I want to tell you something, and I also want to tell you this thing, Jensibadi akisikia. I voted for Raila Amolo Odinga. In fact, in Meru, we had something called Meru Young Tax for Raila, whereby for the first time in the history of Meru, we were able to give Baba 104,000 votes. But for the people who voted for Ruto, and maybe we need another live to discuss this, for the people who voted for Ruto na wakamweka hapo wakadanganyika wakamweka, it's okay. In fact, I think it is good for our democracy that someone other than the person that the system endorsed won that election. Because kama ingekuanga kila siku ni system ina win, Kenyans would never have any hope that they can elect someone.
Yes.
That's a discussion for another day. While I still have the floor, please allow me very, very briefly, kuna some finance bill proposals I didn't talk about, and there are about 4. Number 1, there's a good proposal ya kupunguza VAT on healthcare and medical items such as dialyzers, vitu za kufanya hizo processes dialysis and all that. That's a good proposal. There's a bad proposal ya kuongeza VAT kwa fintech and digital payment services. Apart from the income tax because of royalties, sahi technological services zinakuja na another 16% ya VAT. Aya, mobile phones niliwaambia sahi at the activation stage, instead of 10% excise duty, you're going to pay 25%, which means simu kama ilikuwa 110,000 sahi inaenda kukua 125,000. So kama hauna iPhone unataka kununua, kama hauna Samsung unataka kununua, nunua mapema na sahi. Kuna new excise duty inaongezwa kwa plastics ya 10%. There's a new 5% excise duty inaongezwa kwa coal. Coal products ni vitu kama Vaseline, vitu kama petroli, vitu kama all those things that come from oil that is mined zinaongezwa pesa. One of the most dangerous amendments that I have seen in this finance bill is this one that permits the commissioner to use the information technology system to look at data from third parties. That means your M-Pesa statements, your bank statements, and then use that data to pre-populate your tax returns. Okay? KRA
So what
is
does
going
that
to have
mean?
access to,
What does
KRA
that mean?
wants to have access to your M-Pesa transactions. So hata ukitumiwa pesa yenye ulikuwa umekopesha mtu, labda ulikopesha mtu pesa cash ama ulimtumia through the bank, then akakutumia kwa M-Pesa, the money that is coming into your phone is going to be treated like income that is going to be taxed. That's a very big problem. Because KRA should not have access, third-party access to your information. It is supposed to only have access to the information that you give to them. Ukiamua, okay, this is my mobile money transaction records. I want to give this to KRA. Fine. Lakini hawafai kwenda kwa Safaricom, they plug their APIs to Safaricom, then they have access to your data. That is problematic.
But Wakili, sasa let me ask you around there. Is it not what you were telling us before, kwamba we need to expand the tax base? And
expanding the tax base, Daktari, expanding the tax base does not mean giving that party access to the revenue authority, because that party access means hauna chance ya kuexplain hii pesa nimetumia 10,000 na Gen Badi nilikuwa nimemkopesha tukiwa mahali ndio maana amenitumia. Unaona? Ama hii pesa nimetumia na Dr. Ombati ameamua kuni surprise birthday yangu. I can have statements that zinasema nime transact 5 million in this year. But kumbe most of that money isn't actually my money. It's not money that I'm being paid for being a lawyer. It's money that I'm transacting maybe because nime collect pesa ya matanga. Maybe because nime collect pesa ya whatever else. So KRA having third party access to your statements, to your accounts, to your mobile money, that is dangerous because they can decide to misuse it. Then the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is that there is going to be a reduction.
So have you done the proposals, Eric? Have you done the proposals for change of that?
No, I did that during the public participation. I gave my comments. But you see, the problem with public participation proposals is Parliament is not bound. They don't have to take your comments. They can say tumekusikia lakini hatutafuata hiyo umesema. Okay?
Eric, I have
And
a question for you.
that's why, yes, go ahead.
I'm meant to understand that KRA is supposed to access the M-Pesa statement from till number and pay bill. Does it really access the mobile transaction from my number to your number?
So the first thing that you will realize with this finance bill is that it has used very technical language so that either the population doesn't really understand what the finance bill wants, or it is a bit vague. Always, you can't say that this is the only information you are required to have. It is vague in terms of they can access the pay bill and the till number, but they can also access your own transactions. Because when you look at the provision that is being introduced and how it's being introduced, you cannot limit them to that. And the government has done this deliberately because Finance Bill 2024, it was made in language that is very, very easy to understand. And that might be one of the things that brought the problem, because the citizens can actually understand everything that you are saying. Wanaona hapa unatufinya. And there's nothing in this finance bill that is for the benefit of the citizen. Everything in the finance bill is for the benefit of the government, because the government wants to collect more money from you. They want to take as much as they can from you, and then they utilize that money however they want, because they know when it comes to appropriations bill, Kenyans do not pay attention. We only pay attention to finance bill because ndio inatufinya kwa mfuko directly. Any other questions?
Okay, Malaysia, because I am meant to understand that this is maybe your last round of speaking. What is the role of?
We will have the final. We will have the final, statement. He's now giving the final part of the remaining clauses. Yes.
I would like to understand the role of IMF and World Bank in the process of making a finance bill as Kenya. Because
very good.
I'm meant to understand that yes. I'm meant to understand that IMF, for it to give us loans that this gentleman on setup is going for every now and again, they have some must-dos in the tax system of our country. So, unaweza tuelezea hapo kidogo?
Yes, I can. Thank you very, very much for bringing that up, because I had almost forgotten. The problem with third world countries is that we are only sovereign on paper. Kwa karatasi tu mahali tunasema we are a sovereign country, ndio tuko sovereign. But in reality we are not, because whoever pays the piper calls the tune. So if IMF is funding almost our every activity right now, out of 100 shillings, the 78 shillings we collect is going to servicing debt. Then another 20,
maybe there kidogo too. I don't know whether I'm the one who's wrong, Wakili, because one thing I understand is during the Kibaki time, during the Kibaki time, out of 100 shillings we used to collect, 18 used to go for payment of the debt. That's why we used to see pesa kwa ground. During the Kenyatta regime, out of every 100 shillings we collect, 65 went to payment of the debt. So that's why we started kufinyika. Saizi, 4 years into the leadership ya huyu jamaa wetu must go, out of 100 shillings, 98. It is not even 78. It is 98. We have 2 shillings remaining.
So 98 is a total recurrent expenditure. That includes debt, na kulipa mishahara, na kununua chai, na mandazi, na whatever. So whatever is left for development is only 2 shillings. Shilingi mbili tu. But kwa hii serikali, 78 shillings is going to debt servicing, then 20 shillings is going to payment of salaries, kununua mandazi, kununua chai, kulipa per diems, and the other recurrent expenditure. During the Kibaki time, it was only 18 shillings that was going to servicing debt. We got it wrong during the Uhuru regime, because that is when debt servicing jumped to 65 shillings. And that was wrong. By the way, Mimi kama Eric Morioki from Meru County, I never supported the Uhuru government. I never supported Ruto's presidency because in 2007, I was doing my KCP. In 2008, I was in Form 1. I was in the same school with young boys whose families had been misplaced. Mtu amekuja shule term 1 Form 1, then holiday ajui aende wapi, sababu familia yake pale walikuwa wameishi wamefukuzwa. For that reason, I could never ever support those two governments because of the things I had seen. So right now the problem is 98 out of 100 shillings zinaenda kwa vitu zenye hazisaidii sana wa Kenya, because the things that help us, the things that help Kenyans is the money that goes into development projects. Mtu akijenga barabara alipo hiyo tenda, analipa employees wenye ameemploy kwa hiyo kazi ya kujenga barabara. Ka profit Kenya anabakisha, ananunua shamba, anajenga mall. Hiyo shamba akinunua, mwenye shamba amepata kitu. Akijenga hiyo mall, kuna watu watarent hapo waeke biashara. They will employ people. They will get some money. Okay? Hizo biashara zitakuwa zinafanya mass orders from the supplier. Kama ni biashara tuseme ya wines and spirits, you are ordering from Kenya breweries. So kuna pesa inaenda hapo, inapatia the economy money that is circulating. The problem that we have right now is that money is being siphoned from the economy of Kenya, inaenda kwa kuservice debt, inaenda kwa recurrent expenditure. Kuna kidogo sana hiyo ya recurrent expenditure yenye inarudi tena through things such as businesses that are owned by these civil servants. But either way, we should not be here. And what the government is doing, they are bringing other things like the sovereign wealth fund bill, which they will use to leverage ile pesa yenye inatoka kwa minerals za Kenya to borrow more money right now that will be the problem of future Kenyans to pay. Okay? Saa hii serikali inaweza omba trillions of money using the sovereign wealth fund as the security, and then hiyo pesa watatumia kwa project zao, wataiba. The other day I met with someone who works for affordable housing. Akaniambia one of the ways in which Kasongo and his people have ensured that hiyo pesa ya affordable housing ni wao wanafanya peke yao is by dividing the tenders into such huge amounts kama 2 billion. How many Kenyans can fund a tender of 2 billion? How many right now? Si wengi sana. So wanafund hizo tender because wao pekee ndo wanaweza. Even if you make a profit of 10% from such a tender, that's 200 million. Do you know there are so many Kenyans who have never touched 10,000 shillings imeshikana? Leave alone a billion. Leave alone a million. Leave alone even 100,000. 10,000 imeshikana. There are so many Kenyans who have never touched such an amount of money ikiwa imeshikana. And for those reasons, that's why you must reject these economic policies. Another way that they are making sure that you stay poor, we stay poor, I stay poor, is by only paying pending bills za wale watu wako owed madeni kubwa. You must be owed over 50 million. And of course, the way they do this, or the incentive to do this, is that if you are owed 50 million na umeitishwa hata tuseme minimum umeitishwa 20% of that money. Out of 50 million, 20% is 10 million. So of course itakuwa pesa mzuri. But mimi kama Eric Morioki, if I've done a job worth 50 million, na nilipo hata hiyo 40 million, that money will not find itself in the Kenyan economy. I will have an account in the Caymans. I will have an account in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Okay? But if kama ni mtu wa 1,500,000, 200,000, 300,000 umesupply makaratasi za kuprint kwa ofisi ya serikali, umesupply kalamu, umesupply, ukilipo hiyo pesa, the first thing that you do, kitu ya kwanza ni unapitia kwanza kwa club ama kwa bar, una celebrate kidogo, una spend ka 18,000-20,000 hapo. Yule waitress wa bar amepata kitu, mwenye bar amepata kitu, mwenye wa kuchoma nyama pale amepata kitu. Okay? You go again with that money. You want to start biashara ya pikipiki. You buy a motorbike. at 200,000, umeemploy mtu pale amepata kama mshahara yake, okay? Wewe mwenyewe you are getting some 300 400 shillings every day, okay? That is how the economy should function. The economy functions when you ensure the lowest of the lowest people wamelipwa kwanza if they supply any services, so that money can revolve within the economy. Another tax yenye wameongeza kwa hii finance bill is they want to tax things that are to do with coal. Coal ni vitu zinatumia mafuta ya petroli. They are also being taxed at around 50% duty. And then the last one I want to talk about is removing EAC origin stamp from some goods. Right now, under the East African Community Agreement, kuna vitu ambazo kama zinatengenezwa in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and other East African countries, they are labeled with that so that they are given preferential treatment in the market. That means lower taxes, that means quicker clearance times. So because we are a community. Sahi, they are unclassifying almost 20 goods from that category, meaning East African community goods hazitapata hiyo preferential treatment, which means there could be retaliatory measures from Tanzania, from Uganda, from other countries. And of course they will retaliate because that is how diplomacy works. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. And this of course could lead to Kenyan manufacturers, Kenyan merchants suffering a bit more than they should. Then I think I've talked about all of them.
Yeah.
The last one is reducing allocation, road annuity fund from 3 shillings per liter to 1.5 shillings. So hata zile barabara ambazo wanatuambia wanatutengenezea, sasa hivi wanaenda kupunguza ile pesa yenye ukinunua lita moja ya petroli shilingi 3 zinaenda kwa mambo ya kutengeneza barabara. Sasa hivi wanataka kupunguza hizo shilingi 3 ikue 1.5 shillings. Meaning ile kutengeneza barabara zitapungua by 50%, by half.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the
Thank
money
you so much.
will be stolen. That's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mr. Muriuki, thank you so much. Najua we are running out of time. Now let's go to the final round. Najua host amechukua break
Dr.
kidogo
Ombati
anarudi.
wameenda.
Yeah, he will be back. I'll give you a chance, Buddy, in a few minutes. Evo, let's go to the final round. Yeah, final thoughts into this topic na mambo yote tumeongelea. If I can start at the bottom hapa kwa Mr. Purudosa, ndio tuende juu, and then Buddy and
Lamek.
Yes.
Ukipatia bulldozer hatutatoka hapa. Tupatie tu chance tumalize tushuke. I'm telling you, I've been live with bulldozer and I can tell you. Ukipatia bulldozer hatutatoka hapa.
Why are you scared?
Live, Dr. Ombati, please. Live ilikuwa ilisha 11. It's 11:10. Let us give our final remarks. Tushuke. Mimi niko na show kesho KTN at 11 a.m. I need to prepare, I need to sleep.
Let's do this.
Bulldozer akianza kuongea mimi tutatoka kwa hii live tutapigana.
I'm looking at the timer. I'm going to give each of you 1 minute, 30 seconds, because we are running out of time. We have to end at in the next 20 minutes. So,
in the next 10 minutes. And please, your 1 minute, the bulldozer equal 1 minute. Again, I know bulldozer. I'm just telling you.
Already to me protest 3 minutes. Let's go very quickly. Bulldozer. Your final thought.
You guys are so scared of two-term brigadier because you know you people, you are only based on what we call issue-based politics, facts and facts, not than propaganda and mere kind of speculations. First of all, before anybody argues about the bad governance in this country, you must ask yourself, where did the rain start beating us? First of all, I have highlighted some 4 main issues that has affected the governance in this country. No matter how you run away from these facts, it will also keep eating us up to the 30th generation. Why am I saying this? You look at the things like corruption, corruption, fighting in the governments, zote, kwanzia Kibaki, becoming a problem in this country because our laws are very useless when it comes to combating corruption. I can explain further why. We go to unscrupulous traders, whereby you find that when the fuel price goes down, the price of commodities doesn't even go down. Kwa nini? Because we have what you call free markets, whereby is a willing seller, willing buyer. People manipulating prices to make sure they hype the cost of living for the common man. If you go to the political parties, affiliations, people fought based on political party lines in terms of influence in particular regions, and people not choosing leaders based on what they can offer in our country. You just follow political chants, political slogans, and you don't care of the kind of council you elect. Finally, ethnicity.
You have 30 seconds left.
No, wait, Lamek. Why you become too much quick when it comes to my turn? You people have spoken here for 1 hour listening to you. Stop being biased when it comes to two-term submission.
You are not against. You are not against. I think that we need to remind you that.
Ethnicity. Stop being biased.
I think we need to do the
It's our show.
Yeah, it's our show. What I'm telling you guys, stop being hypocrites. Bad governance comes from a bad society. You are the ones who elected these leaders, so swallowed your ego, and don't complain when your bag is being served. You are the one who elected these bad leaders. So stop lamenting. Yeah, you are fighting for good governance, yet you are hypocrites. Stop being a hypocritical people. Before you yap about corruption, ask yourself, are you corrupt? How much money have you given bribes here outside? How much money have you given outside here in terms of bribes? From police?
Thank you so much, Bulldozer. Let's go to King.
Yeah, so stop hypocrisy, guys.
Okay, let me take this opportunity to greet you guys. I'm happy to meet you here. I'm so enjoyable. What are you talking about? And I'm happy. Congratulations. What are you talking about? Mimi kwa maoni yangu nilikuwa nataka kuongelea vitu mbili. Ya kwanza, kuna mtu aliongelea kuhusu Chebukati. Chebukati ndiye alileta shida kwa hii dunia. So kwa furahia, alisema Wajaruo walifurahia, si Wajaruo peke yake, watu walifurahia dunia mzima. Kitu ingine ya pili, sisi kama watu wa opposition hatujachagua Fragi Bera. So mtu yoyote anauza mtu yoyote wa opposition, tusimpinge, ana haki na uhuru. Lakini tunajua ya kwamba the 60 anaitwa Fred Okengo Matiang'i. So hao wengine wakisema, tuwa support, tuwape moyo, tusikue tunawakasia maisha. Juu wako na sisi, na sisi wote tunajua ni nini inaendelea. So sitaongea sana. Tuko pamoja.
Thank you, King. Thank you, King. I know we really are strained on time. Let's hear from Koro as we wind down.
You see, let me start by telling you guys that there is no politician who is going to give you solution. And when we are sharing this platform with some of you who are reaching these politicians and talking to them direct, if they are not going to give a solution, wacha tuwapatie solution mwende muambie. So the likes of Kina Jenzibadi, I've seen him, and I've seen how Kina Sifuna and the rest of the team. The likes of Bulldozer, I've seen Bulldozer with Kalonzo and the rest. These politicians won't give us the solution. So let's give you guys the solution. Muende muambie, this is what we want. But there is only one opposition candidate when alisema atachukua affordable housing azirudishe under county government management. I agree with him. That is still devolving corruption because we devolve corruption at the end of the day. But now, apart from our politicians, wengine, what are they telling Kenyans as the solution? What do they want to do to us? We are asking these questions to the likes of Kina Sifuna. We are asking this question to Kina Matiang'i because when things were getting where we are today, they were there. They were part of the problem. But all of a sudden, some of them have become the saints. The politicians who created this problem, some of them are now the saints who still want to save the country they brought into chaos. One of those politicians is Gachagua. Today, he's now offering Kenyan solution. You understand? But how did we get here?
Yeah,
he was part and parcel.
Ebu finye kijana ile ni ya makofi. Finya hiyo kitu ya makofi bwana.
Gachagua is the biggest problem in this country.
Apigiwe
Fiber man.
bala bulldozer mute microphone. Ni time ya Colo Spice. Finya
Who
Colo
borrowed how
Spice
much?
makofi bwana.
Ametoka kidogo.
How much money in this
Guys.
country? Who
Yeah.
borrowed how much
Thank you
in this
guys.
country?
Thank you
Who
guys.
made
Thank you
it
guys.
in how much
you
people
guys-
in this country?
You guys
And
are
how much
Ni Zuhuru fight for presidency. Ni Zuhuru
you
fight for
guys-
presidency. Na
Yeah.
niliwaambia sijui kwa nini
Koro,
mlipandisha
thank you.
bulldozer
Thank you
hapa.
so much. Hold on, hold on, Kensi.
Colo Spice
Hold on.
umepigiwa makofi tuendelee.
We have to have some order
I'm
here.
going to be the public with you.
Guys, guys.
Problems.
Let's have some order, please, please. Let's move to Honorable Chofre Momanyi. Tunamalizia, please. Let's tumekuwa hapa for the last 2.5 hours. Honorable Chofre Momanyi. All right. Let's go to Ombui.
Yes, habari zenu ndugu zangu na dada zangu. Number one, you guys you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, nashukuru sana Lamek and Dr. Umbati for this program. It's quite resourceful and educative to the people who are listening, and I think it's making transformations in the minds of Kenyans. Number one, I wanted to emphasize on technology. I heard somebody saying mambo ya technology na kwa ground is different. But remember, right now, technology is playing a big role in political transformation, economic, social, and anything else. So when people are here having a conversation, it is not just stories, it's real. You know, it's transforming the society, you know, the political arena. So let us not compromise the usefulness of technology. Number two, ningependa kushukuru sana Eric Morioki. He has really done us a good job. Dr. Mbati, if next time, please, you can bring him to enlighten us on some other topics, that will be great. I really appreciate the knowledge I've acquired from what he has, educated us tonight. Number three, please, I know most of you are politicians. Since I was brought up here, I've been very quiet. But I've been observing people, wanarushiana maneno, let us be orderly. It's great for us to be orderly. Another thing is that let us not point fingers at each other. We learn through mistakes. Wale ambayo walirudisha mkono na wamerealize walifanya makosa, let us not try to castigate them. Let us join forces together and make sure that 2027 huyu jamaa amerudi sugoi, so that we have our country back and our economy back.
Thank
so
you.
I don't want to say much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbui. Thank you, and nice seeing you again. Thank you. Nimekupea an extra minute kwa sababu maybe this was your first and maybe kumalizia. If let me go back to Honorable Geoffrey Momanyi. Nilikupea chance, but hatukuwa tunakusikia. Maybe you were talking while muted. Sijui nani alikuangusha.
Sorry for that. I think labda kulikuwa na issue kidogo. So thank you. I think I'm very happy today that we have received some good knowledge and explanation from our friend Wakili Eric Murioki. It was a very good expound the budget very well. And I think whoever is here and has not understood and has an issue with the budget, I think, or else he's saying two term and is in the budget has been explained so well by Eric. I think there's a problem as a society. We have a very big problem, and I'm also going to mention that just a few people. Mr. Penso is my friend. Bulldozer is my friend. Pinches is my friend. I wanted them to come here and hear whatever that is being discussed here. Sometimes we were used to be in the same platform with the guys, but sometimes whatever that was being discussed in those platforms made me to move away from that place. So I wanted them to come here and listen with whatever that is being discussed for group here, Dr. Ombati. I hope they have gotten whatever that we discuss here, and wherever they will go to their platforms and wherever platform they will go, I think let's have a constructive discussion as Kenyans. We should not
Thank
be
you.
fighting each other, and yet kidogo tu Lamek, kidogo tu, just 30 seconds. We should not be fighting each other, yet the problem is facing all of us. Let's fight the problem, not fight ourselves. Sisi wenyewe tusipigane. To fight the problem in affect Kenya as a country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As naenda kupea Kuntu atoe final submission. Kuntu akimaliza nitarudisha mic kwa Frida ili ape our special guests wenye walikuwa hapa for today, Mr. Eric and Ms. Chensi Padi. Hivyo after Kuntu naona na mwingine amekuja hapa, but I'll let Frida handle that. Kuntu, I give you the mic, and then our co-host Frida will take over.
Sawa sawa, nashukuru sana. Today I've been a good listener. And I thank you, Daktari, for the invitees. They've given us good information. And even as I give my own remarks, I would like to say that wherever you are in whichever platform you are, continue educating our people. The point of us saying that Mama Mboga wanapiga kura because they are not informed and they depend on nani amenipea chai ndio ni vote, it shouldn't be happening anytime soon. And those of us who have not taken voting cards, I would like to tell you that bad leaders are always elected by those who don't vote. So it's not only your civil duty to vote, but you should be voting because you are shaping the country going forward. And we have a tendency as a country to vote for popular people who are not necessarily the best candidates to give service to our community. So we should also look at the popularity of candidates versus their service and their actions. I've always said on this platform that before you vote somebody in, look at what they've been doing prior to them contesting for something. If they don't have a record, they don't have something they've ever achieved, then Lord, don't ever let them come in near to the election. And one more thing is that we have a tendency of ethnic profiling. Saizi kuna mtu anasema instead of identifying someone as Sifuna, anasema yule Mluya. Instead of identifying Gachagua as a leader, Mkikuyu, yule Mkisii, yule Mkamba. This is meant to divide us amongst ourselves because we technically don't like each other as a community. So that will make us not vote because I come from a certain region. I think that shouldn't define our politics going forward. And we as the young people are very impressed that somebody who I started voting in 2007, by the way. I've been voting around. I've been faithful to Baba all these years. We have been failing successfully all through. But I know. So all I want to say is that all of us who are here today, we've hit, I think, around a peak of 800 plus. If you are on this platform, whether you are on the other term or the one term with us, mko na responsibility ya kuambia watu ukweli. Politicians have a tendency of repeating lies every now and again, mpaka wakati inafika, the lies become like, inakaa kama ukweli. But we have to teach our people the truth and tell them, be honest with them. Otherwise, I want to tell you that Doc, people from YouTube have appreciated. I will read just one comment that I said here. Thank you for streaming this program. Budget-related issues are a good window to understanding the degree of economic justice in a country. So that is a guy calls himself Justin One. So I think we could still be doing this next week. And guys, the moment we stop talking, the moment we start fighting. Let's shape this country. We are the future. Yeah. In the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, hakuna mtu atakuwa anatuongoza hapa isipokuwa sisi wenyewe. Yeah. Thank you.
Najua we have run out of time now. So I take this opportunity kumkaribisha our co-host Frida. Kitu kimoja nataka kuwakumbusha guys, and on a serious, yeah, Frida, hold on a minute. Kitu kimoja nataka kuwakumbusha, venye mnatuona hapa juu hivi, mkumbuke kwamba our Gen Z buddy ako single, she's taking applications, qualifications zake ni kali sana. You have to have a certain level of education, you have to have a certain level of bank account yeah, na height yake yenye anatafuta on everything, hivyo mjue kwamba Gen Z buddy is looking for a height on everything, iko mzuri. Back to you Frida.
Na Frida uwaze kilobu.
Uta confirm ama udeny? You will confirm or deny?
Frida, si uniparaphrase yake amesema nini? Nilikuwa na record voice note.
Anasema watu kuna portal umefungua ya applications. Hiyo portal inasema mtu akuwe na pesa na akuwe na akili. So I think he has an authority that you are single. At least hakuna mtu amekuclaim so far, tusichomee mtu. Tusipata kuna mtu hapo na bango wala hapo karibu na wewe. Oh man. Sasa mimi kile ambacho nasema ni first of all siku zombo ni one term. Number 2, for me it's so heartbreaking that there's someone we need to convince about the fact that we need to reclaim back our country. It's so embarrassing, but I blame poverty and I also blame ignorance. Because these things, you know, we have to save in a family, you have to save both the quick ones and the slow ones. So kuna watu ambao tumejitolea sisi tukasema, since we are faster than some people kwa kuelewa na pia kwa kujali, they will catch up wakati wa kujali na kuelewa na kufanya something about it. But for now they are allowed to say two term. You see guys, the thing with politics is that they are very much alike na religion. Religion, kwa Mungu mnaambiwa kama to me all of you, wajinga, werevu, wafupi, wanono, wote wanaambiwa tu wakuje. Sasa hata kwa politics unapata ni Mungu amependa nyinyi wote, atawaokoa whoever believes. So unapata hapo kwa believing, ukipata duanzi yenye inajua kubelieve uongo, itaamini tu na wote wataenda kwa hiyo mrengo ya kusema nini two term. So hapa ina mtego wa nini wa serikali unashika waliokuamo na wasiokuamo. Sasa the few brilliant ones wenye tunauliza maswali tunakaa ni kama tujielewi, because the many ignorant ones have come unto Ruto because they labor and they are heavy laden and they don't believe that Ruto is the source of their problems. That said, let me also digress niseme thank you very much to Gen Z Buddy. When we made the call to her to come, she didn't even, alisema, you are going to talk about the state of our nation, that I am gonna come. She didn't ask questions and I'm so grateful that they came. Eric Murioki is serving as our legal counsel. Yeah, Linda Mwananchi is I mean the legal team ya the entire Linda Mwananchi. Na ni kiongozi wangu and I truly appreciate him. When I made a call to him, the last time we spoke about the finance bill, aliniambia, you know what, I don't want to comment on this matter because I want to take my time and look at it. Hakusema alikuwa kuja na notes. Sasa amekuja na facts mpaka watu wenye hawajazoea facts wanashangaa. Sasa hapa tutafanya aje na hatuwezi shout two term? Wanashangaa haya. Hapa watu hawakuwa wanakuja na stories za ajabu, kumbe ni facts. Sasa umefanya watu wamekwama. They don't know what to do with ignorance that they wanted to show on this platform. So I want to thank my leaders, my chairperson wa Linda Mwananchi. Thank you so much Gen Z Buddy. Thank you so much the host and the co-host for this show. I want to appreciate Dr. Ombati. It's unfortunate ndio nimefika Kisii guys, I was traveling. But I listened to every word. Mahali network ilikubali nisikize. So nimefika Kisii and officially hewa ya huku inanuka tu one term. Kwa sababu hapa huwezi ongea two term because people People know there is no food on their table. People know there is no petrol here. Hapa hakuna mtu wako on payroll ya 200 shillings. So hapa ukigusa, yani the air is just bananas and one term. So it's just a matter of waiting and praying that the entire country catches up. Na maombi tutaomba, we are patient. Yes.
Amasangwenya nale town ya yamba gwaka. Amasangwenya nara simikiro ko eta kwa raso gotacha.
So guys, thank you so much for this conversation. It was a wonderful conversation, and Gen Z Buddy is single. I can confirm that. Tulikuwa na yeye leo asubuhi na sikuona simu ikilia. Sikuona ikilia kabisa kusema ukweli, na sikuona message. So watu muanze ku apply. Thank you so much guys. Have a good night. I hope to see you on Sunday while we have another conversation. As Obomo Bwomogusii, as usual, we keep it locked here. Na Dr. Ombati na mimi Frida Onduso. It's one time. Siku zombo.
Thank you so much, Frida. Thank you, Lamek. Thank you, Geoffrey. Thank you, Kunto, for being here. And before I give Gen Z Buddy and Eric to finish, Araka, you came when we are finishing. I'll give you just 1 minute. Introduce yourself. Then I'll allow my brother and sister to conclude. As he's opening his mic to introduce himself, my brother had a problem. My brother, Dr. Eboso, had a little problem ya network. Yuko hapa bado. I keep bringing him na anashuka. Dr. Stella Bosire has not been able to join us. And so because of that, officially next week, we are going to discuss about Ebola and anything around Ebola. So guys, I'm welcoming you. The two gentlemen, the two doctors, beautiful doctors will be with us. In the meantime, Araka Generation, ebu fungue hiyo mic utuambie wewe ni nani na umechelewa kidogo. In a minute.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Governor. In a minute, 30 seconds. My name is Raka Generation. Jina ingine naitwa Victor Moi, natoka West Mugrango. I'm vying for the Member of Parliament seat come 2027. And all protocols being observed, Daktari, nataka niseme kwamba I urge our people, young and old, to go for elective positions, to apply for IPC positions. That's the only way we can win this coming election. And those people who are going to vote, kindly don't look at the track record. Now, look at this young lady up here, Gen Z. You don't expect her to have a very, very big track record of what she has done on the ground. So let's choose the youths and don't expect, just listen to them. Ile kitu wanakuambia, just believe in them, and that's how we can bring another leadership into positions. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much, Araka Generation, for that. And guys, from my end, I want to thank Eric Muriuki, Gen Z Buddy, for being here. From my end, I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for heeding to this call. And by the way, Gen Z Buddy, niliona ulinifuata TikTok, ni karibu ni tag huko, niseme, oh, she's followed me. Muriuki niliona alinifuata, karibu ni tag huko, niseme, hey, they followed me. So, I mean, I want to thank you guys.
Mimi nimekufollow miaka yote hujawahi kwa enyewe mtu aheshimiwe kwao.
I don't know what to say because Frida amenifanya ni feel guilty. Frida's verdict. I mean, the one and very beautiful, highly knowledgeable young lady we've had in our show. By the way, she's not only knowledgeable on contemporary issues, she's knowledgeable on matters culture. And that is how this show really came up. And we want to thank you so much, Frida, for being here. And of course, thank you, Tim, for allowing our sister to become the Secretary General of Linda Mwananchi. That is why sisi hatupigi Sifuna vita. Sifuna atakuwa deputy president wetu vizuri sana katika serikali ya Matiang'i. He will be our deputy president. But anyway, I want to thank you so much, Frida, for coming and for being here with this team. And so next week, we are going to talk about one thing, Ebola and other issues related to health. Kama uko na maswali ya health related, Dr. Iboso and Dr. Stella will make sure they'll be with us next week so that we speak about it on Sunday from 8 p.m. And so, Brother Muriuki, give us your final verdict on this issue that we've been talking about.
Thank you very much
Alafu
Dr.
tuambie kama
Umbati.
uko single. Kuna wasichana hapa wamesumbuka. Huwezi kuwa single wakati kuna wasichana hapa Kenya hawana mabwana wanasumbuka bwana. You cannot be
Ako
single.
single.
Oh
Ako
my
single,
God.
guys.
Thank you very much Dr. Umbati Mokua. I am very grateful to have been invited here by the very beautiful and brilliant Frida. We serve in Linda Mwananchi Youth League together. I'm happy to have been here with a very knowledgeable and very beautiful Gen Z buddy.
Na bado hujaona mtu kwa hawa beautiful?
Nimeona mpaka niko confused. Wacha nichague. Wacha nichague kati ya Frida na Gen Z buddy ni mgani nataka. But the more important thing is I want to emphasize what Dr. Eboso said. Apart from the finance bill, we have the appropriations bill. That is how the money the government collects is going to be used. Hata serikali ikikosa kupitisha finance bill leo, they will still collect money because finance bill ya last time iko operational. What matters more is how do they use the money they have collected. And before I say my closing remarks, I'll say two things. One thing is, Kenyans, you have a right to be wrong. That means, kama uli support William Ruto, I never supported William Ruto. But if you supported him, na amekudisappoint, and you feel like you need to get rid of him, that is within your right and it is within your power. Mtu asikuambie that you made your bed so you must lie on it. Wewe ulimpigia huyu sasa lazima no. If you feel he's not working for you, he is not working for you. Get rid of the nigger. Okay? That is what democracy means. Tuko pamoja wa Kenya? Thank you. The second thing that I will say here today is that the finance bill is never for your benefit. Finance bill huwa inafanywa because of the benefit of the government. We have a law that says government cannot borrow against more than 55% of our GDP. But now they are doing 78%. They are borrowing more than 78% of our GDP. That means that we live our lives servicing debt. They know that. That is why they're using things like the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Pesa ya minerals zetu, yenye maybe hawataweza kuaccess saa hii because setting up structures za mining sio rahisi, wanaomba madeni saa hii against the minerals that we will mine in future. Mnanielewa kweli? They know that in future, in 10, 15, 20 years, they won't be here. So, for them to ensure they benefit from what we will have at that time, they borrow now, security ni hiyo pesa yetu ya minerals, yenye itakuja in 20 years time. Politicians do not love us. Politicians do not care about you. Politicians do not give a damn. Tomorrow, Gashagua's case is being decided. If I am being very honest with you, I will tell you, for impeachment ya Gachagua, I was there in the team that impeached him. I was there. I was one of the lawyers who impeached Gachagua. My thinking at that time was, Ruto na Gachagua wakiwa pamoja, they are too strong. We need to separate them. We need to isolate them. And I played my part because that government was not working for any Kenyan. I didn't support them anyway, so I don't owe them anything. Tomorrow the court will decide on whether Gashagua's impeachment was valid or not. Please pay attention. Because if the court decides that the impeachment was not valid, that means something. And if it decides that the impeachment was valid, that means something else. I do not want to explain everything here because I want us to have more and more Twitter spaces to talk about these things. Thank you very much for inviting me. Remember, there is nothing in the finance bill that is about you, that is to benefit you. It is all to ensure the government collects more and more and more money. Pahali role yako inaingilia is ensure the money that is collected goes into doing things that benefit you as a Kenyan, goes into things that are to do with health, to do with education, to do with opening up the business space, okay? Because the government is looking for how to collect more money and how to be less and less accountable to you. Thank you very much, Frida. Thank you very much, Dr. Ombati Mokua. I wish you the very, very best. I wish I was voting in Kisii. Any Kenyan who is willing to host such a forum for Kenyans to discuss and exchange ideas on how their country should be run deserves to be put in a leadership position. I wish I was voting in Kisii or Nyamira ndo nikupatie kura yangu. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jenzibadi, you'll be giving us the final verdict on this issue, but this is how I will say it. This is how I'll end it. For prosperity in our country, Ruto must go.
Definitely.
For economic emancipation in our country, Ruto must go.
Definitely.
For affordable health care in our country, Ruto must go. For jobs and opportunities to come to our country, Ruto must go. For lower taxes, Ruto must go. For accountable leadership in our country, Ruto must go. For justice and fairness, Ruto must go. For the dignity of Kenyan people, Ruto must go. For the dignity and of the future of our children, Ruto must go. And for a better Kenya, Ruto must go. Thank you. Jenzibadi.
Thank you so much. Oh, it's such a pleasure to be the last one. Okay, I'm not the last one. I know you'll speak finally. Anyway, I think for my parting shot, I want to speak to the young people of this country. I want to tell them this one thing. Whatever we started in 2024 can happen again. That spirit we had then, we can have it again. We can revive it. You know, I always believe if something happened before, it can happen again. History has it. We always say history repeats itself. So it means that spirit we had of tribeless, of we are the same, you know, we are Kenyans and Kenya is our business. That spirit we had then, we can still revive it again. We can still revive that anger, that passion for a better country. But how do we do it? We have to know that these politicians, kusema ati juu Kikuyu has been given a ministry ati Kikuyu sasa tuko kwa serikali, so sisi tuna support serikali. Yet that minister doesn't know me by name. That minister can never affect my life as charity directly. Then how do I start and say tuko na serikali? The moment we know, and I'll repeat, the moment we know it's the political class against us, I swear we will be so far as a nation, as a young people. But the moment we allow them to divide us, the moment we allow their propaganda to get to us, the moment we get to a point of saying Jenzibadi is a Kikuyu and so Jenzibadi is tribal, and yet I'm 24 years old like you, I'm just a young person like you, who wants a better country like you. You understand? It honestly doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. It's so baffling, it's so saddening, it's so, I don't know, it's so stupid to say the least, you know. So, to the young people of this country, it is our time. We are always told, you are the leaders of tomorrow. I think tomorrow is today. We are the leaders of today. And we need to take it. Even the Bible says the kingdom of God suffers violence. If that kingdom of God is suffering violence, what about the kingdom of human beings? It suffers even more violence. And the violent shall take it by force. It is our time to be violent. It is our time to take up these positions violently. You understand? It's our time to occupy National Assembly, to occupy county assemblies. It is our time, Dr. Ombati, to vie for those gubernatorial seats. Go for them. Take them. You understand? We can't keep fighting from the outside. We can't keep fighting from the periphery. If we want to make real change, we have to go in there and make that change. I have to sit in that parliament and legislate. Otherwise, ndaishi kupiga topa kelele, reject, reject, reject. And yet I have the power to go in there and reject it from a seat and vote no. So it's our time. And we can only do this if we revive that spirit, if we spark up that 2024 spirit. I don't know how we'll do it. I don't know what will anger us to go back there, because I feel like these young people have now fallen back to the tribal cocoons again. And it's really saddening. It's so saddening. It's so saddening that people can now look at me and see me as a Kikuyu and no longer as a Gen Z. It's not adding up. Inanibo by then, inanibo kabisa. I just want you to look at me and see me as the Gen Z you saw me in 2024. And I want to be able to look at you, Ombati, and not see you as a kissy, but as the Gen Z you are. Tukiuko kwa streets, tukisema reject. You understand? Anyway, one time, drain the swamp. By drain the swamp, I mean look at that MP who is not working, mufute kazi. Look at that governor, mufute kazi. Look at that MCA. No, you know, at times we hate Ruto so much that these governors hide under that cocoon of hate which we have for Ruto. But they forget that the governor is the president of the county. We forget that the MP is the president of the constituency. We forget that the MCA is the president of that ward. So they are also accountable. You understand? If your MCA is not representing you, bro, mchuje. Mikuza my MCA wata wa Nairobi waende home. Wameshindwa kuimpeach tu Sakaja. My MCA wata wa Nakuru waende home. Wameshindwa kuimpeach Keheka. You understand? It doesn't add up. Drain the swamp from head to toe. Mnakumbuka venye 2022 watu walivote suti, tunawaangusha hiyo kisuti bado. Drain the swamp. Wafute fagia wote. Na yote 9-10, Ruto must and Ruto will go. You have to believe it. Whatever you confess, you possess. Confess it so that we possess it. Don't be saying, ayo tunataka aende lakini unajua, jamaa ataenda kweli. What you confess, you possess. You don't play yourself, you will be small. So we confess it. Ruto must and Ruto will go. One time. Thank you so much, Ombati, for having me. Frida Ameshuka. But thank you, Frida, in absentia, for even thinking of me and thinking that Gen Z Body would come to this show and deliver. Kesho niko na show KTN at 11 a.m. It's about the finance bill. I thank God we have spoken about the finance bill. Niko na content ya kesho. Be sure to tune in and watch me. I will surely appreciate the support. Asante sana, Ombati. May God bless you.
Thank you so much. Nawashukuru sana wenzangu for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking to this show. Wambeo, sijui mbona umekuja when we were finishing, mheshimiwa. Hebu tusalimie tu kuachilia ushuke.
Jambo, habari zenu?
Jambo.
I'm grateful. Nimefurahi kuona Gen Z Bani hapa. Whatever she raises here is of very good concern for every Kenyan that is focused to redeem our country. This is our time. We won't look at the tribe. We're only looking at the betterment of our country. So asanteni sana. I look for tomorrow. I'll join mapema sana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Wambeo na wenzangu wote ambao mko hapa leo. We have this show every Sunday. It's a show where we discuss on contemporary issues. We will share the poster of what we'll be discussing next week early enough so that we can join. Kindly follow each of us here. Follow us to follow one another. And from next week, we are taking this also to YouTube through our platform. Kuntu, what is the name of the platform where we are going to take this show to YouTube?
Bango for poster.
Bango. That is the platform.
Yeah, Bango Africa. It's called Bango Africa.
And that is the only way we are going to find, snippets and shots that are going to be played. And please follow each other. Na nyinyi tutawafollow kwa kweli. And thank you, Eric. Thank you, Gen Z Badi. Thank you, Kuntu. Thank you, Honorable Wambeo. Thank you, Honorable Geoffrey. Na wengine wote ambao umekuwa hapa, every Sunday we are here for only one thing.